everyone, and welcome to the 2022 North American Open Division Finals. I am Waffles for Sid, and this is Ocean joining me on the analysis side, and we are thrilled to be kicking off all the action for you today. Ocean, how are you doing today, dude? And what are your thoughts going into our first couple finals matches?
First off, my first question is I'm going to ask, did you practice like what side I was on? Because that's the thing that usually goes wrong at the start of broadcast.
I've been here in the scene long enough to pick that up fast enough.
Okay, yeah. Well, I'm excited because we've got our winners finals game between Redbird Esports and Secunda. This is interesting because Secunda is essentially Wisp and Redbirds is, well, Redbirds. So we've got two strong teams from about a year ago. They've been competing at tier 2 level for about a year now. So we know we're going to get a good game out of this.
Oh yeah, I agree with you there. I mean, Redbirds, that's a name very, very well known around the scene. And so is Wisp, with a lot of these players, coming from that background. The one caveat I will say that I'm really excited for is that this is the first time we're really seeing them here in the Overwatch 2 scene instead. So, it'll be just a little bit different, but honestly, the consistent quality of players that these orgs keep producing, gonna have some pretty high expectations going into our first round. Obviously, of course, that's Nepal. Control, as per usual. We are going to Nepal. And, Ocean, control maps are always kind of the oddball out, right? They could be a team's biggest strength or biggest weakness, and they could come around and flip the series later down the road. So I'm pretty excited to see how this kicks off and what kind of tempo they're looking to set.
I think in this matchup, tempo is going to be very important, and I think the tempo is actually not going to be set by the main support players as much in this game, because I think instead of Reaper, I think we're going to see Tracer versus Tracer in this matchup, or I can see us seeing Tracer versus Tracer. And if we do get that, it'll be all eyes on Lethal versus Rocket. That will be a really good Tracer matchup if we get it. If not, they'll just be on Reaper, and we'll be looking at the Lucios instead and what they're doing to set the tempo of this match. And another little small narrative we're keeping an eye on is how the tanks are getting value in this series, because it's going to be quite difficult, right? You're a tank, you're playing like a Reaper meta. That's awkward. That's awkward to play into. So it's going to be interesting to see how the two tanks on either side get value in this series. So those are the two little things we're going to be checking in on throughout the series.
Well, and we've seen quite a variety of tanks roll through just the open division scene in general from yesterday's matches and previously in the weeks before, right? Obviously, we've had some pretty significant changes and updates to the game since our original open division qualifiers, but I'm hoping to see some variety, right? No one wants to see the same comp over and over again. We saw some Roadhog being played yesterday and some Orisa also being played. I think the Zarya Winston was pretty unsurprising, right? They've been around and pretty strong recently, but I'm wondering if we're going to see any of those other variants, or if we're going to stick to more of the tried and true kind of meta that we've seen across all the scenes from this level to the pros, right?
It's going to be interesting because I think I've seen every tank apart from Doomfist and Reinhardt this weekend. And I think I've seen I've seen every single one. Maybe not Wrecking Ball, actually. I don't think I've seen Wrecking Ball.
Those for stalling we have. So
okay, we have seen Wrecking Ball. I count that. But we've seen primarily Roadhog and Winston, Zarya as well. Orisa's been thereabouts. We've got a little bit of D.Va as well. So variety in the tanks, and with Gig in the lineup, it's no surprise to see the Winston on that side. J-Bub's opting for the Roadhog. But again, I'm interested in this Rocket versus Lethal matchup, and Lethal isn't opting for the Tracer. Lethal's opting for the Reaper, while Rocket is opting for the Tracer.
Okay, two very different approaches, right? One's a lot more zippy, and one also has a horde of damage available. We have both Roadhogs looking to try and get those picks, but the first pick is actually going to be Rocket there, taken out by the Railgun. With Secunda down a player, they're already backing up and giving that point.
I think they have to. I mean, J-Bubs needs to get some space here, needs to start brawling a little bit more effectively to try and get Lethal into play. Rocket into play a little bit more, get Rocket a little bit more space. The problem with Jabob's rolling is that Lethal comes into play at closer ranges with that Reaper.
Yeah, and that is not where you want to be. Close range with the Reaper is absolute disaster for anyone trying to push on forward. Vision gets another railgun kill onto Rocket there, and honestly, it seems like Secunda is constantly down one player. They do manage to get that pick onto Lethal, but they've lost so many of their own, Ocean. They're still going to have to give up some space.
Jabob's running low. Does he get taken away? Keep an eye on that Roadhog. Jabob's gets up to full health, but I still think this is a one fight for Redbirds.
Ooh, man, yeah, and this is a long fight here coming through from Redbirds and Secunda. It seems like this has just been non-stop, constant, and we have ultimates online as a result.
Yeah, so next team fight, we're going to see a small support ultimate advantage for Redbirds. That's going to be critical, and a longer team fight for Redbirds here could seal out the map. I mean, it is probably going to be longer since both teams have squad ultimates online, but the squad ult advantage is there. Let's see how they use those ultimates on the side of Redbirds.
They are critical ultimates, and they can, well, there's the Kitsune actually being thrown first. It's going to be Secunda trying to instigate, but honestly, this aggression was just a little overzealous. Both supports taken down first. The Primal Rage popped also by Redbird. And, well, actually, that was a really expensive fight for Redbird, Ocean. Definitely not what I would have expected to see.
I think using both support ultimates was always going to happen there, but the Primal, I think, was a little unnecessary. I think now you're really relying on probably Vision with the overclock to get an opening. Otherwise, you're in a little bit of trouble.
Pulse Bomb thrown and doesn't find anything. It is overtime bar triggered, and Redbirds are looking to try and take this point. A nasty hook comes through. J-Bubs takes out Vision as a result, and now Secunda has the advantage. They're trying to take this point for themselves at the last moment. This is a great Pole Hog coming through, shutting down the Death Blossom in the process. Secunda is fighting with every little bit they have to keep this point. They flip it in the end and clutch it out, Ocean.
Brilliant. I mean, they knew what their win condition was. Get onto those two DPSs. Those are the two ultimates the Redbirds have online. It's going to obviously knowing that because of the three ultimates used in the previous fight, they shut down Vision instantly and Lethal later on in the fight. And you know what? Yumitra may have built up that sound barrier slowly, but oddly enough, that's come to benefit them because they'll have a support ultimate advantage in this next team fight.
Sound barrier's been thrown as Secunda is trying to hold out through this aggression. The railguns are being exchanged, and Vision is the one to go down. Secunda manages to find that advantage they're looking for. Dig gets pressured super low, taken down as a result. And Ocean, once again, it looks like Secunda is able to hold this defensive point.
The real test is going to come in this next fight, though, Sid, because remember that support ultimate advantage that we saw earlier in this map for Redbirds? It's back again. Ranko and Liar, once this next fight begins officially, they'll have a support ultimate advantage that's just got even bigger with Thix using that Kitsune Rush in what seemed like an already won fight.
That is an expensive use of something as powerful as the Kitsune Rush. I like this aggression that they're doing here for this chokehold, right? Any amount you can pepper down Redbirds, the better you have at the better chance you have at holding this defensive point.
This is so difficult though for Secunda, because without that Kitsune Rush, what are you going to use to counter Redbird's two support ultimates? This is Redbird's fight to win here on the Pole Shrine.
Rocket could get a pick here with the Pulse Bomb, but there's the Sound Barrier cast and the Kitsune casted right after each other here by Redbirds. They're pushed here onto this point, and well, Pulse Bomb only finds the Sakura there at the end. So far, Redbirds still trying to push on forward. They've captured the point themselves, and now it's time to continue pushing Secunda off. It is all about this OT stagger, and with Death Blossom, that's going to close it out at 99-96 with Redbirds taking the win.
I think that first round was sealed when Thix used that Kitsune Rush, when I think Redbird's already lost too. And that's a port ult advantage. When you Kitsune Rush and Sound Barrier unchecked, it's almost impossible to lose a fight. So Redbirds using their advantage well in that last fight, but I just wonder if Secunda could have pulled it off there if they had the Kitsune Rush. Moving into this next map, it's going to be interesting to see if Rocket stays on the Tracer. I imagine they will. I think Rocket's one of our best Tracers in North America right now. And I'm really surprised, though, to see Lethal play the Reaper over the Tracer here, because I would have thought game plan, Rocket's a scary Tracer, let's match the Tracer and annoy him, but Lethal's getting enough value on their own, so let's keep tabs on that for now. But yeah, Lethal will stay on the Reaper.
Curious to see how Secunda continues to, move on through this type of matchup, right? They are two very different types of approaches. And, well, Renko was on point waiting with the Suzu to combat the Pulse Bomb. So far, Redbirds has already opened up this kill feed pretty much all in their favor. They've lost Gig, but they're going to take this point early and get set up defensively.
Oh, need to get Lethal out of there. They do. Okay. A little bit of a scary moment there for Redbirds, but they're all good and they can get set up on this high ground. Secunda, though, getting a little bit of free space. That's a lovely hook from J-Bubs.
You have got to be careful if you are Redbirds Esports. That is exactly the type of carelessness that's going to allow Secunda to come through, take this point, and pretty much just flip it all in their favor because of one little peek.
Oh, that's unfortunate for Redbirds, because they were set up well on the high ground, right? That was going to be a really difficult approach for Secunda. And just that one little magical moment from J-Bubs just flips the point entirely. Going into this next fight, not too much online. I mean, Rocket's Pulse Bomb, that could be a good opener. Let's keep eyes on Rocket for this fight.
There's Redbird pushing on to this point. They've almost captured it, but it's not going to be an easy fight in the process. Pulse Bomb finds Renko. No Suzu online to save them that time. Redbird's still pushing on through. They've taken the point for themselves, and now Secunda is on the run. They've used their own railgun here, and Chopper's trying to hunt for Vision, but I love how cautious Vision was being around that corner. There is no need to peek when Chopper has railgun charge. Now Vision pops their own and is taken down by Chopper. That is the death. That is the risk you run when you peek a Sojourn every single time. That ultimate was shut down so fast, Ocean.
It was pretty lethal. Kitsune Rush used here from Vix, countered by Liar's Soundbar, and then Yamichu's response to their Soundbar. This fight's getting real messy for both teams.
This Primal Rage by Gig is booping everyone around this point, and it is a brawl here. We can see a nice disruptor shot trying to keep Redbird on this point for as long as possible, but there's the push off. Secunda finally takes possession, and now with the whole hog being thrown, they go ahead, take this point, and Redbird is gonna have to regroup. Nice. Wow.
That was a crazy fight. You know, it's my job as a color commentator to tell you what happened. What I can tell you is a lot of ultimates were popped, and both teams, the fight didn't really go to plan for either of them, but Secunda, they pull out with that team fight 51% and counting. However, I want to check back in on this Rocket Lethal matchup, because both of those players have their only ultimates in the lobby right now. Let's see what they can do. Rocket versus Lethal, round 2.
A little bit of space taken there by Gig, and well, as a result, we can see Lethal has gone ahead and jumped on this point. Liar's already taken down early, and Redbirds isn't going to be happy. Now they've lost both supports, Ocean. It's over for this fight for them. Back to the regroup phase.
I know it's even more difficult for Redbirds, because you've got to approach this composition, right?
What?
Oh, Liar, okay.
Lucky!
Ooh. Now you've got to approach the Secunda composition in and around the objective, that side territory, and you still have to try and set up Lethal Death Balls, and that's so hard. That's so much space to take out just to set up one little ultimate.
Kitsune thrown here by Redbirds, and of course Lethal's going to go ahead, teleport to the other side, looking for the Death Blossom in the process.
You got the flip!
Just kidding, gonna go ahead, doesn't even need to use it yet. Looks like he's gonna walk on through. Redbird still continuing to just pressure on forward while still maintaining 2 DPS ults.
I mean, one ultimate from Redbird's used, the same ultimate, the same exact ultimate used from Secunda to respond with, and they flip the point basically for free, and they have an ultimate advantage, or a small ultimate advantage going into this next fight, because they will have both of their DPS ultimates, while Chopper still will need to charge a little bit more.
Ultimates galore left and right. Death Blossom actually pushed up on the high ground and, well, isn't finding as much value. Sound Barrier's been cast all around the board, but Renko goes down in the end of it. Secunda still has possession, and of course, J-Bubs gets the hook onto Liar. The slippery Lucio will not escape, but the Redbirds have the numbers. There's a nice pick here onto Lethal, but it's just a little skirmish. Vision's the only person left.
Oh, it's 1v1.
Go Fix! Takes him down at the end, wins the 1v1 and wins the round for Secunda, bringing them back to even up the series.
Isn't it poetic though that Fix was the player to win the 1v1 there to clutch out round 2, and Fix arguably was the player that lost round 1 with that early Kitsune rush? That was a clutch from Fix to redeem themselves and bring Secunda to Nepal Sanctum.
Looks like you know, some Valorant skills coming in through from Fix as they claim themselves. You know, a little cross training never hurt anybody, right? Oh man, what a nice turnaround. And honestly, like, huge props over to Fix for having, I mean, clutch is clutch, baby, and that was the perfect example of it. The real question is, can Secunda continue to build off of that last round momentum? An early hook onto J-Bubs takes down Gig. They are feeling good going into this first matchup.
The idea from Gig was to go and take the high ground and then get Lethal involved. Unfortunately, that was shut down very fast by J-Bubs, right? Nothing much you could do, and Gig's had enough. And Lethal's had enough. They're mirroring the matchup. No, they're not. This is weird. I don't like this Ashe pick, Sid. I'm going to be real honest here. I think one of the big problems here is Rocket and J-Bubs on Secunda creating so many openings for their team. And I think you need to match Rocket here.
J-Bubs did get picked early, but Gig gets booped off the map. That is a beautiful equalizer coming through, but Secunda has gone ahead and lost Fix in all of the skirmishes. Redbirds trying to go ahead and put pressure onto the point itself. The real question is, what is Rocket gonna do about it? Now they've gone on trying to stall, but look at the sight lines that Redbirds has gone ahead and set themselves up on, Ocean. It is going to be tough to push onto the point. Rocket's deleted immediately as soon as they try, and Vision is just unchecked here on this far side, Ocean.
Yeah, high ground obtained. Yamitra's got another boop though, and they're going to turn this around. Yamitra with a second hero boop onto Gig, and that's that fight done. There's no way they come back. Surely Lethal can't kill everyone.
Right, J-Bubs on this Roadhog is definitely quite the force to be reckoned with.
People did kill everyone. See, they're gonna flip it.
Well, clutch it out the other way for DPS and just take care of everyone with a little help from your friend Bob. Right, Ocean?
I'm shocked, to be honest. I literally said I don't think there's no way Lethal could kill everyone. Literally kills 3, and the point is just flipped like that. Didn't even have a tank there to create space for them. That was just all Lethal involved.
Well, you know, sometimes we actually do the opposite of Caster Curse people. Give them a little, you know, morale boost coming through. Oh, a nice teleport away. We saw that J-Bubs was slowly starting to circle Renko, looking for that hook from around the side. So far, there's Secunda still trying to push on forward as they've launched their own Suzu in the process. Man, it is a brawl here in the small room, and the last thing you want is to be stuck with J-Bubs, whole hog, and honestly, kick straight off the point.
Oh, J-Bubs low though. He's gonna get away. Liar needs to get out of here. Oh, go, Liar, go on, get away. No, Liar goes back in. Okay. Alright, weird reset from Liar. I would have just tried to get out, or maybe go down the other side. Not risk taking the damage. Next team fight though. Scored ultimate advantage in favor of Redbirds. We've heard this story before. Let's see if they can execute it once more. I think realistically, you're probably gonna see them engage with that Kitsune rush and then try to use the Sound Barrier later in the fight. Let's see what they do.
Suzu's all around, and of course the foxes are flying. Sound barriers have been initiated, and pretty much every single ult is being thrown here on the point. Gig is going to come out on top, taking down J-Bug. Vision is on the side once again, uncontested. Lethal's pushed off the map, but Redbirds has the numbers, and once again, Ocean Vision is unchecked here on this far side.
So here's like the one problem I have with like the Roadhog in this situation is that, you know, Winston is really, really good at checking Sojourn, and Sojourn is kind of busted. Let's be
Yeah.
real. Right, Sojourn is hella good right now. So if you get your Sojourn on this high ground, other than your Sojourn, what's gonna check them, right? So this could be a telling of whose Sojourn goes down first. However, Fix goes down early.
Oh, that was really close. J-Bub's falling very low, but manages to escape with his life. Gig continues to chase on through and gets very low themselves. Manages to escape? Okay, I thought that was a punishment in the making there, but it looks like Redbird's really taking a nice aggressive front hold, not even allowing Secunda to push through this archway.
Okay, this is going to be interesting because Kitsune Rush should be online for Secunda before it's online for Redbirds because so this is an opening for Secunda, right? It's a very small window of opportunity. No, it's gone! Fix is dead!
Huge opportunity here. Now it is all in favor of Redbirds. No Kitsune Rush online available. A hook comes through here from the side, and Gig goes down to the whole hog. Lethal absolutely pops off, and no one's on the point. It's going to be Redbird taking the win here on Nepal.
A small window opportunity slips away from Secunda. Fix goes down. Oh, that was painful. That was painful. Because it was there, the window was open, and then bam, shut in the face by Liar. Brilliant response from Redbirds. Again, poetic. Fix just seems to be involved in all of these critical team fights. It's interesting. Let's keep an eye on Fix because they seem to be the decider in this matchup.
Yeah, well, they came through, clutched it out for their team, but at the end of the day, it's tough out there for a support, right? The weight of the world and all of your teammates' concerns are pretty much on your shoulders. I Need Healing is pretty much binded to a lot of people's hotkeys. Easy access right there to spam quickly. And, these supports have really been doing a fantastic job. We saw some great boops off of the map. It's Nepal, so there's quite the well there on the side, the drop off. But I gotta say, I'm pretty worried about vision on that Sojourn being unchecked repeatedly from just across the way. Secunda's gonna have to have a game plan for how to put any kind of pressure on them.
It's hard because when you're on that Roadhog comp, you're kind of relying on your Tracer and your Sojourn, whereas like Winston is such a simple answer to that. You just jump on them and annoy them a bit, right? So
yes,
yeah. So I mean, it's kind of the sacrifice of playing the Roadhog instead of the Winston for a bit more like sustainability in your tank. Winston is just a better check to Sojourn. So it'll be interesting to see if they adjust for that.
Yeah.
I want to check back in on this because Rocket versus Lethal was so interesting. And I did not expect it to go the way of Lethal picking Ashe and killing everything.
Oh.
That was not where I expected that to go. I expected Tracer versus Tracer or Reaper versus Tracer or Reaper versus Reaper. In no mind did I expect any sort of Ashe to come out. And Lethal popped off on that Ashe. That was a big shock. I didn't like that pick. But I was proved very much wrong.
Yes. Well, I also want to give a little props out to Bob, who I think got 3 kills that last round. Something like that. So really fast build up to actually having Bob online, and the additional pressure coming through every time. The timing was impeccable to actually be the key factor helping them flip and retain the point possession. And those are the kind of clutch things that whichever team wants to take grand finals needs to be consistently displaying through these games, especially here in the winners finals, right? We're going to go to Kings Row next, where this is literally the most comfortable map for every single Overwatch team. So there's no excuses here for, what's going on. This is where everyone should really bring their full A game.
This is going to be fun because it's not going to be like much of a change of pace from Nepal because, I don't think the compositions are going to change that much. I mean, we might see Zarya instead. It's going to be the same matchup, but it's going to be more linear. It's going to be more dynamic because it's Kings Row. There's potential for snowballs. Kings Row is exciting, all right? Kings Row is great to watch.
Well, and it's a very different play style than Control, right? We mentioned this at the very beginning. King of the Hill is very different than when you have to push this cart. You need to be taking a significant amount of space, or you can catch the enemy split on their spawn sometimes and actually punish them even more severely. And staggers, I think, are a lot more punishing in any of the other maps outside of Control.
So on the defense here, you'll see Lethal is on the Genji here, and Genji's still around, right? And we typically do see Genji a lot on King's Row. So this isn't a surprise at all.
Is Gig okay?
Oh, Gig's just gonna go to Roadhog. Okay. How did that second change?
I gotta say, I'm a little worried. They're running fast, and I want them to be in position. I don't like it when they're late to the game like this, but an early hook attempt there doesn't quite find who he's looking for. Both of them are exchanged, but you know, a little bit of poke damage initiating. A nice hook here from Gig, and well, J-Bub's gonna go ahead, easily top themselves off. They are deleted with the follow-up, and that is exactly what Redbirds wants to do. They're gonna have to really focus fire down those Roadhogs, especially with the Kiriko's on point with the Suzu's Ocean.
I was wondering now.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, yo, nice hook from Gig, just interrupting my point completely. How rude of him, right? Oh, I'm really curious now what Rocket's gonna do on this Tracer, because you know you don't really have like an obvious like game plan now. With Lethal on Genji, right? You don't have like an obvious mirror matchup, so Rocket has like the room to ignore the mirror matchup and go aggressive into the back line and be irritating, or it is just not gonna have a reason to play the Tracer.
Can't really be annoying when to the back line when the back line takes care of you. Liar definitely not wanting to be harassed any longer by Rocket, and well, honestly, these hooks have been insane. Nice deflect there from Lethal, saving his own life, and well, J-Bubs is pulled out of position, deleted once again by Redbirds, and honestly, this Roadhog strat has got to be infuriating because getting hooked is not a fun time, Ocean.
I bet you Gig's glad they decided to swap over to the Hulk, because it's got some pretty good value here on this defense, especially on point attack.
Yeah.
This next team fight's going to be scary because I mean, it's Dragon Blades online, you haven't really got much to stack it.
Every hook is forcing out a Suzu pretty much 70% of the time. As a result, well, look at that. No Suzu to save vision during the pulse bomb. Lethal goes ahead, counters with their own Dragon Blade, and well, sometimes the best defense is a good offense, and that is exactly the tactic that Redbirds was applying here.
Fixed?
Wow, even more. So much commitment.
I don't agree with that play. It's bold, and I like the ambition, but I don't think you're going to get anywhere with it. I think that's a really poor Kitsune rush. And I think Fix has actually been quite good in this series. It just seems to be unfortunate that they're involved in all the big moments, and that could be another big one right there. That key support ultimate gone for Secunda as they try to set up an attack on point A and get back into this series. J-Bub's trying to get a hook, and Rocket goes down. He's got to end up back out once more.
Wow, Gig is just absolutely on point with these hooks. He is waiting to make sure that J-Bubs doesn't have theirs online and is pretty much counter hooking them as soon as they are done or exposed on the counter side. And having that tank taken down so quickly and early in every fight has been really detrimental for Secunda.
Bit of opportunity here to take some space as Gig went down, so they got a little bit of opportunity just to get for the choke, and Chopper's going to use this space to use the overclock.
Everyone's nice and cautious. No one wants to peek Rocket with the with Chopper with the overclock. Another hook, and it's the sound barrier that saves J-Bubs this time. Fix was there with the Suzu on top of it, but it is still Redbirds continuing to defend at this point. They do not want to give up anything more than they already have here, and it looks like with 20 seconds left, it is, I mean, Secunda has their back up against the wall. Oh.
14 seconds, can't even get a touch? I mean, it's probably going to be Rocket, right? Where is Rocket right now? Does anyone know? Where's this Tracer? There they are. They got to try and get the touch. No,
deleted right before. Lethal coming in clutch, and now goes ahead, pops the Dragon Blade just to seal the deal. 2 kills picked up there. Whole Hogs being thrown at the spawn, and that's going to be a very strong defense from Redbirds.
Lethal technically got the 5K. I'm counting that, all right? The last one was after the round ended, but I'll give it to you, Lethal. And it also fits my narrative, so I'm going with it. Lethal, in this little matchup I highlighted at the start of this series, Lethal versus Rocket, it's not going well for Rocket right now. I'm sorry, I'm a big Rocket fan, but Lethal has had a really good series, right?
Yeah. Well,
especially on the Genji in this second map.
Yeah, after that first round on Nepal, I feel like they really picked up their momentum and kind of found that groove. And, well, we saw that they came to play for the rest of that match.
I think there was that one moment Rocket got a nice stick on the pulse bomb onto Vision, but then it was just matched by this Dragon Blade Kitsune Rush combo, and then all of a sudden, Secunda are back behind in the fight. So it seems that Rocket's also had enough of the Tracer and is going to go over to the Reaper. I think that's a sensible play at this moment, because although I think Rocket is one of the best Tracers in North America right now, it's not working right now. They got to find other ways of getting value out of this key VPS matchup.
Yeah, I agree with you there. It's been really tough for Fix as well, right? You have the Suzu online. Well, you have the Suzu in your kit. And, it kind of reminds me of the Divas defense matrix, right? You're expected to eat every single pulse bomb and have to pretty much cover everybody and try and bail people out constantly. And, well, Redbirds has done a fantastic job at forcing Fix to have to use the Suzu early and then coming through with the hook to punish anyone left over or left out. You can see the patience coming through here. Gig's gone ahead and stayed on that Roadhog. I mean, geez, it was so effective last round. It's continuing to be effective here. J-Bubs is already deleted quickly there from Lethal on this Reaper. There's so much front load damage, and to be honest, it is only a matter of time before Redbirds has this chance to take the point. They've already capped it! There was no touch there to contest at the end, and that is going to be Redbirds taking the second map.
Dominant display from Redbirds, I think, on map 2. Brilliant. And that was on Secunda's map choice, I believe, right? So...
I mean, it's King's Row. That's everybody's map choice, so...
fair argument. I'm worried for Secunda, though, because, I mean, they had to make some late swaps. I think, they're justified. I am worried about how this series is turning out for them, because they're making some big calls. It's just not working out for them. It seems to be coming to Fix, though. And I actually think Fix's playstyle is really fun. I think it's really good. I think Fix is probably the most talented Kiriko we've seen. The problem is, there is so much reliance on some of the more bold Kitsune Rush decisions, right? We saw that happen on Nepal Shrine. We saw it happen there on King's Row on their offense. We saw Fix and what they could do on Nepal Village with that epic clutch, right? At the end of Village, right? So when it works, Fix is probably one of the best Kirikos in North America. The problem being, when it doesn't work, probably costs you an objective or two.
Yeah, and those were some pretty ambitious Kitsune Rushes a couple of times, and I gotta say, I don't blame you. There's times when you think that your team has it and you go for the full commit, and I admire someone who says, all right, you say we're all in, I'm all in, let's go. And, as a team, you are all there to win or lose as a group. And I think Fix was definitely doing their best to try and continue enabling everyone. But the hooks coming through from Gig were just so oppressive, and the consistency that they were happening and how early on in the fights were forcing Fix to use the Suzu like in the first 5 seconds of every fight, right? That is not exactly how you want to be forced out to use such a critical resource. And, we're going to go over to Route 66 third. Well, this is a really nice map for Sojourns, and we've seen how actually both Sojourn and Ash, which we've seen come through really strong from the Redbirds team.
I want to touch on one of those words that you said, consistency. I think that is the perfect word to describe this performance from Redbirds. I think it's been really, really strong. I've been really impressed. I haven't really seen too many feet wrong from Redbirds, right? I mean, they've lost a couple of duels. All right, that's going to happen in every Overwatch game, right? It's going to happen in every Overwatch game. But the way they're using their support ultimates, the way Gig's getting value out of both the Winston and the Roadhog, the way they're swapping heroes, the way they're getting value out of their ultimates, like Lethal's Dragon Blade, the way they're hard checking Rocket, like the way that Rocket hasn't had any value in this matchup, and I thought Rocket was a key player in this matchup, is really impressive, and that's because of good backline play and Lethal having the better of that matchup.
Yeah.
The consistency to do that for 2 whole maps so far has been absolutely blinding from Redbirds, and they deserve tremendous credit for that. Brilliant performance so far from Redbirds, and it's worthy of a place in the grand finals. But
yeah,
to be in the grand finals, you got to do that for a whole series. They're one map away.
Not for just a whole series, Ocean, for a whole season, tournament, the whole 9 yards, all the time, every day. And, you know, the performance Redbirds is giving definitely seems to show why they are deserving of the massive target on their back, right? They are huge, heavy hitters in this entire scene. And, well, that consistency has definitely been prominent.
Going for the Roadhog on the defense once more are Redbird Esports. No surprise after the last round. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. An early hold as well, just to get some time off the clock.
Yeah, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And, well, of course, are any of us surprised when Gig gets an early hook, forcing out the Suzu right away? I mean, okay, so this time it was the first 10 seconds instead of 5. My apologies there, Gig. But a fantastic play coming through from Redbirds. They're already continuing to hold this point. They've lost Lethal here at the end of it, but you know, it's still a great defensive start, right? Holding close, burning off this clock.
Ooh,
they got 2 picks in retaliation, and, well, with the spawn advantage here in favor of Secunda, hopefully it's going to be a matter of time before Secunda can continue pushing through.
Yeah, Liar's just gonna get Gig and the rest of the squad who's remaining. Oh, I don't care. No, they're gonna hold the corner. They're gonna commit to this. I like this. I mean, Renko went an aggressive flank, aggressive off angle, but we'll stay alive for now. Never mind. Cursed. Dead.
Oh, wow. I mean, that was a really nice counter coming through. I was a little worried there when I saw that J-Bubs was hooked over, but at the end of the day, Secunda was there to just support him, and, well, now they're able to push this point.
I was really surprised when I saw Liar backing out that Renko and Gig stayed in the corner. I thought it was a full disengage, but no. Seems like they were caught in 2 minds there. Maybe the first sort of mistake we've actually seen from Redbirds in this series, but they've got an opening here. They've got this Kitsune Rush before Fix has theirs online.
Oh my gosh, whole hog in the Kitsune Rush. Jeez, anytime I see these Kiriko play, I really think it's just the alleyway of death opportunity. It doesn't matter which additional ult you pop on top of Kitsune Rush. Anyone along that entire strip is just a complete force to be reckoned with, Ocean.
I mean, they only got 1 kill with it though, so Fix, when they have their Kitsune Rush, they get a pretty nice response, and Secunda could take the point.
Oh, that disruptor shot was a beautiful closeout coming through there from Chopper, almost taken down themselves from the Tracer pressure, but still holding on strong. Stuck by the pulse bomb, and what a clutch Suzu Fix once again showing why they are one of the top players here and why they have been so critical to the success of Secunda.
Right, okay. I know I've been a little bit
Nice
mean to
Suzu
Fix.
once again to defend that hook. Sorry, that was
Kiriko is so fun to watch. I don't blame you at all. I mean, I can just
Wow.
stay silent. We can just watch Kiriko gameplay. I'm down for that as well, right? But what I'm really interested in from Fix is they are in the center of everything Secunda do. It is so fun to watch. And I think,
Yeah.
you know, we could be looking at the best Kiriko in the region right now. It is so interesting how they are at the forefront of everything Secunda do. And that Kitsune Rush, close out the point that Suzu, to keep Rocket alive, just demonstrates that. Fix is having a really fun game.
Sound barriers on both sides, but Redbirds has their own Kitsune Rush, trying to push into the whole hog to take down J-Bugs. Super vulnerable during that time, and as a result, Redbirds continuing to lay on this pressure. Chopper falling low and, well, not taken down. That's the second time I've seen him escape just by the skin of his teeth. Still, Redbirds leaving no prisoners, making sure everyone is chased down.
So, I think this next team fight is going to be really interesting. I'll tell you why. It is because Secunda, they have this small ultimate advantage in the sense of they've got the Kitsune Rush, which is a very, very good ultimate as we've seen in this series. The problem is you've got to walk in the Vision on this high ground. He's going to be charging shots off with J-Bubs, and then also Vision has to overclock this fight.
Time it was going to be J-Bubs with the initial hook opening on to Gig. Vision's pop the railgun and deleted Chopper in the process. That is a beautiful defensive hold here from Redbirds, and well, Secunda's going to have to go back to spawn as a result. They still have 2:16 left on the clock though, Ocean, so there's plenty of time for them to get their footing.
We should go 3 final blows at that point. I was worried about that. That overclock was sick from Vision. And also, you know, Vix lost the Kitsune Rush. I think it was a good Kitsune Rush, right? Got them into the fight. The problem is, you know, you invested it and Vision's just popped off, so you don't have that ultimate for this fight, right? So how do you even get into this fight if you're Secunda? I mean, you're relying on Rocket, right? Or maybe you Mitra in a longer fight, you get the sound barrier. This is such a hard approach, and Renko now has their Kitsune Rush, and Secunda are in a bit of a mess right now. They're looking for a little bit of hero play right now to get back into things.
Hooks all around, and now J-Bubs is stuck. The Suzu was used early after J-Bubs was hooked by Gig, and Fix couldn't save him after that. Once again, another beautiful example of how Redbird's offense is pretty much forcing. Oh! Wow! Of course, they have the step up to that. But Redbirds has been consistently forcing out that Suzu early, and that really goes to show you how well they are planning these attacks and setting up their offense.
I've got more ultimates for this next fight as well. 1 minute left on the clock. Secunda, this next fight's gonna be so difficult for them. Secunda could be here, trouble in here on point B.
Oh, this is a close fight here. Sound barriers have been instigated. Both sides topped off extra, looking to put in the damage or survive the onslaught. Redbird still trying to hold this defensive point, and a couple people falling very low. A disruptor shot's going to be in the way as Liar continues to put the pressure on. Gig misses a hook, which is a rare sight to be seen, but Chopper is all in this kill feed, Ocean. It is time to clutch it out here for Secunda to come back and push this point, and that is exactly what has just unfolded.
You know, when I saw Chopper was you know, on this roster and they're playing Redbirds, I really wanted to say the line, oh, Chopper's chopped them up and had them for dinner, something like that, but I think I'm going to use it now. So Chopper has chopped Redbirds up in that last fight and gave Secunda an opportunity to eat a feast on this Route 66 map. Next team fight, Vix has that Kitsune Rush.
We also see Lethal has this pulse bomb, right? This is where the hunt is coming through. It's like waiting for a shark to strike. Who is going to be the unlucky target? Suzu's already been thrown in. Well, we see Kitsune rushes all around. J-Bubs takes down 2 before going down themselves. An overtime bar has been triggered. Secunda needs to push this point if they want to stay in the fight here for Route 66. It is so close to that second checkpoint, and there is the touch and the refresh on the time bank.
The latest in Vix has been at the forefront of everything. Kitsune Rush to unlock point C for Secunda. Again, it's just a habit now, right? And I just find it funny, right? Because, I mean, Renko's had a good game, Vix has had a good game, but it just seems that every time Vix does something, it's important. Even if it's bad.
Another play coming through here. As you can see, pressure put on through from Secunda. Redbird's trying to defend this last point, Ocean, and well, they've got a few ultimates online to try and do it. Gig has been pretty successful on this Roadhog with the whole hog and timing it so that way there's no escape from a small room. But really, this Tracer duel coming through, definitely one to keep your eye on. Chopper, of course, has already popped the railgun with Vision going down, and well, it looks like you know, Redbirds here has their back against the wall, Ocean. They need to get out and touch and contest.
I think they're waiting for Renko's ultimate to go in with, and then Vision will have the overclock to pair with it. That's the opening for Redbirds if they want to come back on this defense.
That was a nice play coming through. Chopper gets a huge pick at the end. Chopper also still has this overclock online, so it could be the opportunity Secunda needs to try and honestly have some hero plays, Ocean. 5 seconds and counting, and there is the J-Bubs on the car itself. Sound barrier's been cast, but J-Bubs is already dead. Vision throws their own overclock, and it's all Redbirds in the kill feed. They're topped off by Liar's sound barrier, and now it's just a matter of time before they clear out Secunda, and that's gonna be a beautiful hold just before the 3rd checkpoint.
Improvements made there from Secunda, definitely from Kings Row, at the very least. That was good. That was a very tight map. Yeah, and it was a difficult map for them. There were points there where Secunda, they could have lost the very start of point B. They could have easily been full held. It was opened up twice by Thix, and they got even more distance on point C. It was a good run from them.
That map was actually very competitive between the two teams, right? It seemed like Secunda has kind of gotten a better reading on Redbirds and this really strong instigation type of playstyle that they're bringing.
The thing with that map is, though, or that round in particular, Sid, is I think if Secunda plays like that against any other team like Full Cap, it's the consistency of Redbirds that allows them to get a hold there on point C.
Yeah.
I didn't see like a major mistake from Redbirds other than on point A, where it looked like they were disengaging, but they still held the corner. And I don't even think that's that big of a mistake. That's just a decision that, I mean, could go either way, really. That could have benefited them. They could have got a lot of time off the clock, right? It's
Right.
unfortunate they didn't. The consistency of Redbirds is what allows them there to hold point C. Otherwise, against any other teams, they couldn't have kept all 3 points. They did enough to do that. The adjustments have been good, and do you see what I'm seeing on the screen right now? Because I see a wild Orisa on the field, and this is something we haven't seen in this series so far.
A wild Orisa appears on Route 66. J-Bubs definitely, looking for a different change of pace. We see Vision doesn't find the value as the Widow, but you live and learn. Definitely one to try. Chopper's taken down by Gig on that Winston, and Ocean, you've said it before, Winston is a fantastic counter and pressure on to Sojourn, and well, Chopper is feeling the heat as a result. Vision's in the back line, just free firing with the railgun, and well, the rest of the Redbirds team is here in the heart of the fight, continuing on that cleanup.
I'm interested to see if J-Bub stays on that Orisa. Let's keep our eyes on it for now. They're gonna stick on this hero. Okay, this is gonna be interesting. So I wonder what the plan is. No. They bait it onto the Winston. I think that's a sensible choice, to be honest. Just match Redbirds because it's been a more competitive map 3, and I think mirroring it is not a bad thing here.
Well, it's been really successful. I mean, we've seen this composition run around the Overwatch scene in general pretty consistently, right? Some nice plays coming through as Secunda still really finding their momentum here on this defense, right? Their DPS showing a strong result, and well, they have taken down a couple of people. Now it's getting dicier, and with Renko going down, Secunda feeling strong on this defense. Oh, bye, Rocket. Sorry.
But can't really stay alive for long. I mean, they're going to try and stay alive for a bit. They're going to try and get a little bit more card progress. And Secunda are going to respect that, and I think that's a wise move. But Redbirds have some space to get onto this high ground.
Pepper damage from the Winstons in their bubbles. It's going to be harder to, keep on pushing. Yamitra bites off more than they can chew. Liar comes in to just take them out as a result. And now Redbirds has all the space and all the numbers to keep on being aggressive. We see the Kitsune rush come through here from Fix trying to save this point, from Renko trying to save this point, but it is not enough. They do go down, and, Redbirds gonna be moving through.
And now I wonder, maybe they should have chased Lethal. And now I'm thinking that would have been the better play, because Lethal staying around and getting that exit frag was enough to allow Redbird, as soon as they came back, to get onto that high ground and get that push going for a point A capture.
Right.
And this next fight, I mean, Redbirds have 4 ultimates, right? That's just the case of how they use them. It's going to use their Kitsune rush as well, so ultimate advantage firmly in favor of Redbirds for this next team fight.
Well, Bank also is considerably more hefty than what Secunda had moving on through this point here. It took quite a long time for them to even tap the first one, and now as Redbirds continues to put pressure, they have their backs up against the wall, Ocean. It is match point here, and if Secunda wants to stay in this winner's bracket, they're going to have to make a stand.
Rocket goes down, and that's not going to help their case any. J-Bub's low, but that's a brilliant sound barrier from Yamitra.
Keeping up Secunda staying in this fight. Vision almost dead, saved by the sound barrier from Liar. What a clutch teammate coming through, and now of course helps try and keep him alive a little bit longer after that. Unfortunately, J-Bubs is on their case and relentless. He does not want anyone escaping, and honestly, these Winstons have been chasing every single straggler they can find.
That was a really good fight from Secunda. They were up against it. Redbirds had 4 ultimates. They used 3 of them. No cart progress. No cart progress. All of it was shut down by one sound barrier from Yamitra, and J was getting aggressive, getting onto Renko. Once Renko went down, Redbirds kinda just fell over a little bit, and that's expected. However, they still have an opening in this next fight because Vision has that overclock, and Vision has been deadly in this series.
Once again, a lot of pressure on the DPS. Kitsune being thrown here. Fix trying to keep this alleyway of death open for Secunda to continue laying waste to the members of Redbirds. No one's gone down yet as a result, though. There's been so many ultimates popped, and, well, now Vision goes ahead and uses their own overclock. They're trying to hunt for some damage as the members of Redbirds still continue to try and push this cart. Gig is booping people around left and right, and Rocket cannot escape the clutches of the juggling Winston Ocean.
I want that payload moving.
Okay, this next team fight, very important in the realms of this series. Renko has a Kitsune Rush. That's going to be the key ultimate to try and finish off point B. If this Kitsune Rush doesn't get value, Secunda have the ultimate to potentially claim this map.
That could be massive for them. This is, I mean, it's all on the line right here for them. There'll be a chance if they get dropped down into the losers bracket, but that's where nobody wants to be stuck or staying. Chopper goes ahead trying to find the kills here from the high ground, and, well, the pressure almost too much. What an absolute clutch Suzu coming through from Fix once again. Honestly, shouldn't be surprised at this point because he has been saving every single teammate's life pretty much every time possible. Absolutely incredible as Redbirds now continuing this aggressive push. They've used that sound barrier and, well, they are still hunting. A nice stick there, gonna take Liar off the board, but the damage has been done, and, well, Redbirds actually losing their members now as a result. No sustainability coming through, Ocean.
That's what I wanted to see from Rocket, to open up this team fight and give Secunda the chance to hold here on point B and claim this map and get their way back into this series.
Oh, what a Death Blossom rolling through. Lethal is taken down in the middle of it. Gig goes ahead trying to use that Primal Rage, but this is looking really good for Secunda. They want to hold this point. They want to start their reverse sweep here, Ocean, and I don't think anyone's going to be able to touch.
That's it. That's going to be the map. Secunda on their way back into this series. Oh, Gig touches, but I don't think it's going to matter too much. That bar's trickling down.
This is a valiant effort coming through here from Redbirds, but it is a desperate one-touch trickle effect. And, well, Secunda is not going down without a fight, Ocean.
Good map of Overwatch. I enjoyed that a lot. I did. So I'm just going to state it, right? This next map is going to be really interesting, right? Because Redbirds, for the first time in this series, is going to have a map pick. And it's going to be pushed as well, right? So
that's a good point.
They get an opportunity to kind of maybe go somewhere where they're comfortable for the first time in this series. I mean, Redbirds have looked comfortable all series. So it might not make much of a difference, but this is an interesting point because if Secunda can take this map, where it's Redbird's map choice, then we get back to Control. Control will be quite messy. Then that means the reverse sweep is on. So that's the interesting thing when we come into this next map. But I want to touch on one player who was quiet in maps 1 and 2. In map 3, came alive and opened things up in that final fight. Rocket on the Tracer. That pulse bomb is what that Tracer player is all about. More of that needed for Secunda to bring this series back from the brink.
Yeah, well, I think Redbirds kind of let up on a little bit of the pressure that Rocket was having from the first couple of maps as well. I think they saw how impactful Fix was also being towards the game, kind of redirected a little bit more of their attention. And, well, you mentioned Rocket might be one of the best tracers in Overwatch at the moment in this league, and you can't let a player with that type of reputation run rampant around the map, especially on a character like Tracer, where, you know, her survivability is so high on top of all the mobility factors. And, you know, I'm really excited to see where we move next on our maps. We're going over to New Queen Street, where the wind blows 2 different directions on this map.
Okay. I like this map choice from Redbirds because I feel like Winston's better here. That's my personal opinion. I think both have their merits, Winston and Roadhog. And I think the Giga is a slightly better Winston than J-Bubs. I think J-Bubs had a really good map, by the way, in that last map on the Winston. I thought they were really, really good. Especially that first fight on point B where Redbirds had 4 ultimates and J-Bubs single-handedly with the Sign Barrier went into the backline and shut a lot of it down. So it's gonna be interesting to see maybe the tank matchup in this next map. I want to hone in on Gig versus J-Bubs for this map of New Queen Street.
Well, it's been a huge linchpin in kind of how the fights are unfolding, right? It's the instigation and initiation from both of those tanks that's really causing the trickle effect down, or the reactionary effect of forcing the Kirikos to use the Suzus, or forcing those Sojourns to use their slide away, whatever it may be. The back and forth response and the follow-up coming through has just been, you know, a little bit cleaner coming through from Redbirds. I think we saw it slip a bit there on Route 66. Obviously, Secunda also picked up their game, and you know, I think that they were more aware of how Redbirds was instigating and forcing out the Suzu so frequently and early in the fight. And well, as a result, Fix got a little more room, Rocket ran rampant, and Secunda is on their way to a reverse sweep.
They are, but Redbirds are so darn consistent that there might not be the opening for the reverse sweep, right? Like, Secunda can theoretically do everything right, in this series and still lose because of how consistent, how little the amount of fights Redbirds throw away is. It's such a small amount. If Secunda do have an opening for a reverse sweep, it'll be very, very small. All credit to Redbirds, though, and of course that could change in this next map.
Right. Well, and Secunda now has the momentum shift in their favor. So I would like to see them, you know, kind of ride that wave a little bit. I am hesitant with Redbirds having picked the map here for the first time. And these push maps are pretty difficult, right? It's a very different play style than, honestly, any of the other ones we've experienced in Overwatch 1. And the amount of map you have to traverse back and forth to re-push and run the robot definitely changes the strategy and how fast you can actually play the game sometimes, right?
Yeah. This map is so unique in the sense of it's open, but it's also quite linear, right?
Right.
And that's why tempo is so important on this map, because there's this corner that's similar to King's Row, but there's like a weird error hitbox that's so tall. Yes. And there's so many open areas and flanks that makes it open like a previous Polskaya Industries type thing. So it's such a unique map type, and it looks like we are going to see that Winston versus Winston like I expected. And both teams opting for the Reaper. This is really interesting.
You know, you say it's really interesting, but it's also the same composition we've been seeing from pretty much across the board in the Overwatch scene. So we all know what to expect. Of course, it's a railgun shot opening up the fight. Vision goes ahead, takes down their counterpart Chopper, and as a result, Redbirds continues their forward push.
I say it's interesting because Rocket has played minimal Reaper in this series. We've seen them with Tracer. I think we saw them on like Genji for a little bit, right? So Rocket has tried to stay away from this Reaper, and now in this fourth map where Secunda are still technically up against it, opting for it, must feel it's necessary. Vision versus Chopper has also been interesting, as we saw Vision get that railgun headshot at the start of that previous fight, and has a little bit more in the tank, it seems.
A little bit of deja vu here as Vision opens up the kill feed and this most recent fight with a railgun kill. Redbirds has even more space as a result, and with Yamitrix on their way back, Fix goes ahead and is forced to pop the Kitsune as a result. Now Secunda still continuing to push and hold this front line, and honestly, I like that they took this risk. Now they have to handle the aggression coming through from Redbirds. Renko popped their own Kitsune, and you gotta watch out for Vision. Ocean, he is on fire, and these railgun shots are impeccable. Liar is hunting everyone down who's low, and, well, no one's fast enough to get away from them.
Vision, in every single start to an engagement on this new Queen Street map, has got the first final blow.
Yeah.
4 fights in a row. I mean, that pick on the fix, technically not the start of an engagement, but it's an opening pick in the sense of now Redbirds are going to get a little bit more space to set up some ultimates here, including with Death Awesome. Ooh, no, go for it.
I'm glad he was discovered, all right? I don't want a Death Blossom in the heart of my team, not for anybody. So far, Vision goes ahead, uses their overclock, as does Chopper.
Ooh, wow.
Fix is the victim, though, and now Sound Barrier from Redbirds is also committed on top of it. Now they can have all of this space to be aggressive, and Rocket goes ahead with the Death Blossom, trying to combat some of it. He does force out the Primal Rage from Gig as a result, but the damage has been done, and, well, Secunda still has this point, but I don't know for how long.
Oh, what? Just sniper around the corner. They're going to try and set up the Death Blossom now. You see, Lethal still got online. Liar's got the speed boost next to them. Oh, this is going to be interesting. How are they going to set up this Death Blossom?
Well, still looking for the opportunity to set up. I'm sure you want to wait until J-Bubs is done with this booping Primal Rage gig he's got going through. And now we see the damage really brought forward.
It's in rush to make sure they win that fight. And look, Secunda still nothing on the board. No meters, no progress, no fight wins. An engagement, yeah, sure. But that's not going to be enough to win this winners finals. It's not going to be enough to win this map. And looking at this next team fight, Lethal still has this Death Blossom, and only really Fix has anything to respond with. Granted, it's a Katsuna Rush, and that's the biggest tool we have in this composition.
Well, and that means there's a lot of pressure on Chopper, right? With the railgun available, if you can delete Lethal just after he pops the Death Blossom, that is ideal, right? You're shutting it down as quickly as it's brought online. Vision is taken down early in this fight, so Secunda could have the opportunity to take some momentum in their favor. They are slowly circling here around Redbirds, but Rocket's getting pressured. Gotta be careful you don't get too aggressive here as Redbirds retreats back to their spawn.
That was a really good fight for Secunda because they used the Katsuna Rush to get into the fight, and they maximized their value from that Katsuna Rush. They extended onto Redbirds and make sure they won that fight, but they didn't win it immediately. So it means that Redbirds don't have those early respawns, and Secunda get more value out of that fight win.
I mean, this is a classic, opening coming through from a composition like this. Sojourn gets the opening pick with the railgun, and now the rest of the team attacks. As a result, Redbirds goes ahead and commits that sound barrier, trying to stay in the fight even though they've lost a man. Renko goes down in the process with 99% on Kitsune Rush. Probably wouldn't have wanted to use it in this fight anyways, but Ocean Redbirds still trying to put this pressure here on to, or I'm sorry, Secunda still putting this pressure on the Redbirds.
Good fight win. Vision uses the overclock as well to little to no value. Next team fight critical in and around the checkpoint, because then you could secure those better respawns, and then Secunda have a bit more room to work with in the final 4.5 minutes or so. Katsuna Rush in from Fix.
Foxes exchange back and forth, and of course the Death Blossom along the alleyway of Kitsune Rush is just devastating, coming through. Secunda finding their momentum, Ocean, and well, they're about to hit this checkpoint. That is a huge opportunity for them to come back in this fight with only 4:20 on the clock left.
It's crazy because they were so far behind in this map, Sid. They were so far behind. What was it, 80 meters to 0? And now we're in a situation where Secunda probably actually look like they're in a better position, right? Because they've got support ultimate advantage for this next fight. They've got respawn advantage because they've got the checkpoint. This could easily turn in Secunda's favor.
Oh, but Gig with the Primal Rage online has been a force to be reckoned with. We see Lethal here with the Death Blossom on top of it all, and of course is gonna pop it in the back line. Suzu's there to keep him topped off, and it's all cleanup the rest of the way.
So they kept their sound barrier. Unitra kept that sound barrier for this next fight. They've got respawn advantage, so they're not going to lose too much in losing this fight, Secunda, so it's not a horrible fight for them. The problem is if they lose this next one, that last fight where they didn't use the sound barrier means so much more.
This is the make or break it time. Redbirds is at match point, so Secunda has to win this map if they want to continue staying in the winner's bracket. Liar goes down early as Lethal goes ahead and dips out of the way, coming around behind to try and put the pressure back onto Rocket, but Secunda still has the numbers advantage, Ocean.
Yeah, that's huge for them, because if they lost that fight and gave up all that space because they didn't want to use the sound barrier, and then they would have kind of forfeited 2 fights where they had the advantage. This is an interesting early Kitsune rush. Redbirds do really well to get out of that though.
I mean, I wouldn't want any part of that, and Redbirds didn't either. They wait for Secunda to pop around the corner and pop their own Kitsune rush. Overclock is on the board from Chopper, and Secunda can't fight it back. So far, Redbirds continuing to hold this defensive line, and with the 2 support ultimates used, able to take the robot back.
But that could be the moment that Redbirds have just clinched their place in the grand finals, because now they're definitely gonna get the bot towards the checkpoint. They're gonna get their respawn advantage, which means what? How many fights will Secunda have to win in a row? Really, they're gonna have to win 2 fights to even get the bot back to where it was, and then maybe another 2, so like 4 fights in a row. And I doubt Redbirds, with their consistency, are gonna lose 4 fights in a row. Secunda have been put in a real difficult spot.
You know, I am a fan of the statement, this is Overwatch, and there is plenty of time to choke in OT. I don't want to call it too early, but this Death Blossom from Rocket is definitely one you want to be careful of. Lethal retaliates and, well, goes ahead and says, I can do better. Got 1 kill onto J-Bubs, and now Secunda on the back foot here with 1:26 on the clock, and Renko using a Kitsune.
I think it's worth, to be honest. You're going to get a little bit more meter and distance on the board, and also you get that checkpoint. You get the early respawns. That means you get an entire other fight to win, and that means okay, you use your Kitsune rush, but to win another fight, Secunda are probably gonna have to use theirs, and then you'll have yours back. So I think that's a really good decision from Renko.
Yeah, well, the ultimate economy has been in favor of Redbirds pretty consistently. They've been mindful and, well, not overexerting themselves when they want to go initiate on these fights. Last 50 seconds here on the board, and Rocket goes ahead with an early pick onto Gig. Secunda needs to win this fight and take the robot back if they want to stay here in the winner's bracket.
So, with the early respawn advantage, this means that Redbird should, in theory, get a fight in and around where the bot starts. So, this means that Redbirds, they have 3 fights to essentially win 1 fight and finish off this series.
Oh, nice little pepper damage coming up through there from J-Bubs. We know how deadly Lethal can be. Well, lethal right there. J-Bubs here on the kill early onto Gig. Secunda still finding the kills and picks they need. Ocean, it is hero play time if they want to stay in the winner's bracket. And now it looks like they might be able to.
They're actually ahead in their Kitsune. Uh-oh. They're no longer ahead in Kitsune Rush because this is go time for Redbirds.
Secunda goes ahead, gets aggressive with the sound barrier visions, hunting from the high ground. Rocket down as a result. Couldn't even spare a glance above as the rest of Redbirds continue to collapse onto the robot. And that is going to be Redbirds taking the winner's finals here on New Queen Street.
That's what consistency can do in Overwatch. That was a mastermind in trying to do the basics correct from Redbird Esports, and that deserves a place in the grand final. Secunda, they're not out yet though. We're actually going to see them in our next series against the winners between Nyx and, I can't believe I'm about to say this on broadcast, Riz Academy.
Oh. I didn't really, I guess
I actually don't know what
update.
Riz is. It's like, apparently it's a thing on social media. Apparently people have Riz. It's like a measure or something. I'm not sure what it is, and I'm afraid to find out what these like young guns have been coming out with.
Oh yeah, you, Mr. Young Gun, compared to me, sure. No. I honestly do not know either, but I am really looking forward to what we're gonna see Secunda bring to the table, right? You mentioned earlier, this isn't the end of the line for them. We are gonna move into our losers finals here in just a moment, folks, but Redbirds still sitting pretty at the top, Ocean. They really brought a lot of consistency to their gameplay. They did drop a map there, and I think Secunda is slowly kind of adapting and calibrating to the style Redbirds was bringing to the table. But we'll have to see if they can come back and look for a rematch in grand finals, or if they're going to get nixed here in the next losers final. What are your thoughts kind of moving forward before we take a quick break?
I was really happy with that, watching that performance from Redbirds, right? Because it was a really good example of a strong, consistent, professional performance, right? That's what it
Oh,
was,
yeah.
right? They did all the basics right and more. I think the only thing that would have stopped them was some more hero plays from Fix. I still find it hilarious. Every single big moment in that series, you could see Fix in or there and abouts. I really enjoyed watching that match. Unfortunately, I didn't really have my best broadcast, but the team's made up for it, I'm sure.
Well, there is still one to go, so we've got plenty of time for everyone around to adapt and get used to what we're seeing. Man, poor Fix has got a lot of weight on their shoulders, and you're talking about how they're at the center of a lot of the plays, and I think that really goes to show you how much Fix enables their team and how critical they are to the team's success as far as turning the tides of the fight or not. We'll have to
I
see.
really enjoyed it. I really
Yeah.
enjoyed Fix's gameplay.
Well, both of those Kirikos were a lot of fun to watch and had some really clutch save your life moments, right? I wonder what it's like for them, right? Watching their teammate almost die and they're like, pew, gotcha there, homie, don't you worry. And I'm gonna keep healing you so you can bail out.
It's a lot of power to have. It's a lot of power to have over your teammates. Be like, I can save you, or I couldn't.
Do I like you enough to save you? We'll let you guys chew on that part for food for thought. But like I said, don't go anywhere. We're about to move into our losers finals. We're going to see Riz Academy go up against Secunda. And we'll have to see who really wants to come back for the grand finals later today, folks. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the 2022 North American Open Division Finals. We are here gearing up for our losers finals just before we move along to the grand finals and that $25,000 prize pool. For those of you just joining us, I'm Waffles for Sid. This is Ocean, and we are going to be covering all the action for the finals match today. Ocean, how are you doing, dude? And what are your thoughts as we move into our finals match?
I have a lot of thoughts about this match, so thanks for asking. We got Secunda taking on Nyx. We just saw Secunda actually in our previous game. And, we've watched these two teams a little bit now. And I have come to the conclusion, actually, we have come to the conclusion that the support battle in terms of value is going to be so interesting. We got Paintbrush and Fishkick taking on Fix and Dimitra in this case. Fix in our last series was at the center of everything. However, this support line from Nyx, Paintbrush and Fishkick, we've seen them on stream a couple of times. They are consistently getting value out of their teammates. They're consistently solid in the way that they are staying alive. They are a good, solid support line that is hard to break. So we've got a bit of a support battle on our hands today.
Yeah. Well, and both of those Kirikos were absolutely on fire, especially when we saw Nyx performing yesterday as well. There's a lot of pressure on these supports, especially the Kirikos with the Suzu, right? It is a get out of free, it's not free. It's a bailout card that's on cooldown pretty consistently. And, the instigation from these teams has been really important in forcing those out. Obviously, it's control for the first map, Ocean. I think everybody knows that on the Overwatch circuit, but this time we're actually moving over to Oasis. So there's going to be a little bit different geography options. And personally, I hope we start on Mecha Base, where it's
Mecha Base? That's the boost on Met.
Oh my gosh. Well, that's embarrassing, folks. Ocean, take it away.
Oh yeah, I quite like Mecha Base as well, but we can't just magic it onto Oasis. I mean, if only, that would have been brilliant. But I would like to see some University to start off with, because it's a little bit more close quarters. It's probably the most different and unique of the Oasis maps. I would like to see Mecha Base as well, but unfortunately, University is going to be my preferred interest in this game.
Maybe I'm just predicting the future for when we have to get through later in the series back around to another control map, right?
Map 5 round 3 Mecha Base? And that's what you're going to see. I got it. Telegraphed, right? That's what's going to happen.
Yes. But of course, like you said, we're starting off on Oasis, and honestly, I am curious to see what's going to be brought to the table. We've seen the Winston be extremely popular across all Overwatch platforms, but the Roadhog got a lot of action last round, Ocean, and there was a lot of value coming through from the Roadhog. Yeah.
From the Roadhog. Which
yes.
one? Gig? Is that one you're looking for? K-Buffs
yes,
as well?
from Gig. Thank you.
There you go. I got you. So I actually did want to talk about the maps, because I spent too much time bullying you, so I actually lost my train of thought. Why I'm excited to see University is because it's so linear and controlled, in the sense of it's going to be different to the other 2 points. The other 2 points, very open, have a lot of high ground. University's different. It's very linear. It's very brawl-centric, and those are two very different map designs. And you're going to need two different styles of play to win this Oasis map.
And the variability in what you have to bring for your team composition is really going to set these two teams apart, right? It has to be, there's a consistency factor that we have repeatedly talked about, right? And Secunda just came off a fresh loss against Redbird, right? Redbird, powerhouse of the scene. They're going to be moving on to grand finals, but really, these two teams here are laying it all on the line right now. It's it's win or go home. And $25,000 prize pool is definitely something you want to have your eyes on.
Well, at least, the comfort for these teams is they've already got a little bit of the prize pool secure, but you want more money, right? That's why you're competing. You want the money, you want the dollar. Well, you're also competing to get good at the game, right? Yeah, you also want to get better at the game. But the money's nice, all right?
Totally.
Who doesn't love a bit of money, all right? So That's what they're competing for right now.
Well, and
Both these
money
teams are
aside,
already secured in contenders. It's all good.
right. Well, and money aside, I gotta say, I'm one of the if you ain't first, you're last kind of vibes.
I'm with it.
And I want to see these teams get really fired up to go for that grand finals position. Yeah, you've already secured your spot. Yeah, you've got some prize money. But what does it really mean to be the powerhouse of this open division season? And what does that mean when you move along into the next season and up into contenders, right? There's a lot of weight that can be brought from this performance. And well, I want to see these two teams step up and really challenge Redbirds in the grand finals. There needs to be a level up coming through.
Oh yeah, I think Redbirds have been really strong this tournament. And I think that's coming from their consistency. And I think actually in spells, these two teams are really, really good. When Secunda can get Rocket going, they look really, really good. And you know, when they get some great plays out of Fix, you know, Fix is really fun to watch. When they get those two players going, right? Yeah, I mean, yeah, when they get those two going, they look really, really good. Maybe, perhaps at that peak, they might be better than Redbirds, but Redbirds are consistently good. So maybe the thing for both of these teams is a bit more consistency, and then we can see them compete with the Redbirds.
I agree there. And, you know, the Roadhog was honestly one of the biggest factors in forcing out Fix to have to use that Suzu really, really early. And I do think that they are, you know, adapting to that playstyle when they encountered Redbirds. The real question is, how are they going to adapt to Nyx, right? Nyx has actually also played on stream earlier yesterday, so they've had an opportunity to actually scope out their opponents, and I'm sure these guys are all familiar with each other on the scene, all right? It's a close-knit circuit, they all scrim and know each other, the whole 9 yards, right, Ocean?
Oh yeah, these two teams know each other. I mean, maybe you'll keep, you know, a couple rotations, like, you know, behind your back. Like, there'll be some things they don't know, and, you know, sometimes there's a secret plan, right? And that's kill the enemy team. And sometimes that happens, and then you're a little bit unprepared for that. So yeah,
right.
It's a good game plan. Have you heard of it?
Well, you know, I don't like to confuse simple and easy because those are two very different things. Simple, kill enemy team, yes. Easy, they're not going to make it so. And honestly, Secunda has done a great job at really putting themselves out there and showing why they were in the winner's bracket all the way through here until just the finals, right? They did get knocked out by the team going to grand finals, and I gotta wonder if they're playing with a little bit of extra fire as a result, right? You could either harness that loss and fuel the flame that drives you to be competitive and bring your A game, or it could burn you up and you kind of feel a little deflated afterwards. So there's really a lot of pressure on Secunda's mentality as well coming after this last game. And I gotta say, I'm curious what's going to unfold, Ocean.
So I actually, well, we have a bit of time. I think we've been informed, but we've got a little bit more time here. So I'm gonna go into a story of Nyx, and I just want to tell it just for a little bit because
okay.
Nyx, in my personal opinion, I wasn't vibing with some of the things they were doing last year. You know, they never really got a set roster in place. You know, they never really had the right structure.
Right.
But seeing Nyx in the last 4 or 5 months, I've been quite impressed, genuinely, and I've been really, really happy with the fact, you know, they've got a consistent one. They've got something that fits. Like, this support line, Fish Kick and Paintbrush, really, really works. And they've had really talented support players in the past. They've never had a support line that's just so and cohesive. I like the way things have went for Nyx in the past couple of months. And you know, it would be a really, really good story to see them get a big result from it. If they can get a top 2 with the way they've been trending upwards, that would be a brilliant story, wouldn't it?
Honestly, that would be such a great journey for them as well, right? To see that tangible growth in the organization and how that they've really been able to enable their players. And honestly, the results speak for themselves, right? They're here in the finals and they have the strongest lineup they've had to date. And you're right, that the support lineup has a significant amount of synergy. And well, that is a tough one to combat. And Well, folks, it looks like the teams are having a couple of technical difficulties. So I think we're going to throw it to a quick break. They're going to sort out some of their problems, and we'll see you in just a moment.
Ready for battle.
We're back in a flash, folks, into the heart of the game right away. Ocean, both teams are lined up, and 20 seconds till the doors open.
So we've got the Zarya versus Winston matchup here on University. Very linear maps. So you are going to see quite a lot of value from Zarya here. Zarya typically being previously really, really good on linear maps, like Kingsar still is very good on linear maps, right? So, never mind. Never talk about compositions. Oh, no, they're back on Zarya. We're good. Right, now they're still there. Right, brilliant. Interesting to see the dynamics between the two tanks and how their support lines set this up. You're probably expecting a more aggressive tempo from Secunda. Let's see how they set it up with Yamitra and Vix.
Kalman's already going back to change off of this Zarya, and well, so has Eiko. It's a whole comp refresh, Ocean, and well, point is about to open up. No one's really wanted to engage quite yet, and now Nyx goes ahead and takes their position onto the point. No jump for you, J-Bubs, because Kalman hooks you in the process, takes him out just as quickly, and as a result, Secunda has the manpower, or I'm sorry, Nyx has the manpower to go ahead and take this first cap.
You know, weirdly enough, Secunda had a big opportunity there to set up a pretty aggressive team fight while, Nyx were swapping heroes and such. They didn't do so, and oddly enough, this Roadhog composition or variation aims to play a little bit slower than the Winston comp, so Secunda should be wanting to up the pace, and they end up, themselves taking the passive positioning, lowering the pace of the game, and actually rewarding Nyx with their own play.
Oh, an aggressive jump comes through, and Kalman takes down Yamitra with that hook. Another beautiful play coming through here from Nyx, as it seems like they have dialed in some of this strategy here around this Roadhog. Kalman is on point, and J-Bubs flips over to match it.
Look at the hog! I mean, I don't have a problem with this switch at all. You're going to the Tracer as well. One thing I do want to check in on this Lucio battle. Fishkick double Yamitra's ult charge. I think Fishkick is having a really good start to this series.
Well, Nyx in general has had a lot of, their players haven't died as much, and thus their ults have charged up more. And Fishcakes has had a lot of damage he's had to heal up from Secunda. J-Bubs has been trying to lay into them, but the pressure coming through from Kalman and some of these outrageous hooks has just been unstoppable. Nice block comes through, but Fix is still going down. All hands on deck as they push forward, and Nyx continues to clear out Secunda.
Fishkick 2 final blows in that fight. There wasn't a single kill that didn't have a Lucio assist. Also, in the previous engagement, you saw Fishkick get a boop onto Yamitra to bring them into the Nyx team. Fishkick is having a wonderful map and has that sound barrier for the next fight. Yamitra nowhere near that sound barrier.
J-Bug hooked, and of course the Suzu forced out early. Fix there to bail them out in the nick of time. Rocket on this point, and well, almost caught him in the process. That was a beautiful anticipation of the aggression that Lucio's typically display. Missed him by that much as Secunda continues to fire onto this point. It is 99% in favor of Nyx, but Secunda flips it at the last moment, takes the point, and now they have to play perfect if they want to win this map.
Come on, let's get out of here. We'll do. Next team fight. I mean, what have you got here if you're Nyx? I mean, you got this Death Blossom. I like it. I think this is a small opening. The problem is, are you gonna set up this Death Blossom before Yamitra has that sound barrier? I think there's a small window, but it's gonna be really difficult to set up. Let's see how they execute it.
More free firing coming through. We can see Nas dodges the hook. Nice job, dude. Super clutch. Once again, J-Bubs is hooked right after they throw their own hook. Suzu has to be used by Fix, and now Nick goes ahead, goes on to the point. There is a kill onto Eiko, and that is a huge opportunity for Secunda to continue holding this defensive point. Nyx goes ahead, bails out. Chopper gets hooked and goes down, and now it is a slugfest. Secunda commits that sound barrier as Yamicha keeps everyone topped off. Point is still in favor of Secunda, but Nyx is slowly whittling them down, and well, that might actually be the nail in the coffin for that push. Secunda still holding this defense.
And you see who opened up that fight for them? What's going on? Eiko, why?
Okay.
I mean, it kind of goes on to what I was going to say. They tried to set up the Death Blossom for Eiko before Yamicha got the sound barrier, but Eiko got killed by Fix. Fix, the center of everything, once again for Secunda, coming with a massive kill onto Eiko. And that Death Blossom is for naught, and Eiko goes over to the Sombra, D.Va as well from Kaiman. Nyx are in trouble now as N2S goes down.
And we also had a flip from Eiko on to the Sombra. We saw this happen actually in their previous matches on top of it, and Cowman's on the D.Va as well. So once again, Nyx has completely rebooted the composition that they're running with their team. Rocket here on the side with the pulse bomb, hunting for a victim. Kitsune being thrown by Fix, and Paintbrush goes down as a result. Now there's the pulse bomb in, caught in the corner by the whole hog, and 2S had no chance after that. Secunda still holding this defensive point in their favor. Ocean, they flipped it at the last possible second, played perfect defense, and took this first round.
I think they've got Fix to thank for that, because Eiko and Nyx had an opening there with that Death Blossom. Nyx just shut it down. Shut it down completely. The one little headshot, and the round completely transforms. And it's that player again, Fix, the center of everything that Secunda do. They're there, always. And I haven't seen a moment important in the series we saw earlier against Redbirds, and in this series already, where Fix isn't at the center of everything. They are so crucial to what happens in this series. I also thought, Paintbrush had a good map, but it's just the way Fix plays. Everything centralizes around this Kiriko player, and it's allowing Secunda to have a little bit more control of the tempo, as they did in that scrappy fight where Eiko and Kaiman, they used those late ultimates. Seems like Secunda have a little bit more out of their support line right now.
Well, and Yamitra has been doing fantastic with those sound barriers. Clutching people and saving them at the very last moment has been, critical to helping Fix get into the right position to be able to follow up and continue saving people. So far, though, J-Bub's on this high ground. We saw those hooks get exchanged, but no one went down. Eiko taken out by Fix once again. Chopper on this high ground uses the railgun, and that is going to be Secunda opening the fight with the point take.
Man, I don't actually forget, Fishkick had a really good opening to that Oasis University round as well. Like, I think 1-2 fights single-handedly for Nyx. It just wasn't enough. It's just at these critical moments, that's when Fix shows up, and then I get obsessed by this Kiriko player. I'm obsessed by Kiriko anyways, right? But Fix is not helping that addiction, as we call it.
I like your statement of Fishcake single-handedly won 2 fights himself, but wasn't enough. Oh,
it genuinely was, because that one critical team fight, Fix showed up.
Oh, poor guy. That is literally, you're doing everything you can to help the team. Unfortunately, you are the one Secunda is hunting for. Fishcake taken out early in this fight. They have been hunting for him, and well, a rare miss hook there from both Roadhogs, ooh, one after another. Usually it forces out the Suzus, and this time it's just going to be a brawl fest. Secunda still holding this point, but with that pick onto J-Bubs, they're not going to have nearly as much staying power.
Messy team fight though, but I think Nyx are 1 up for now. They just gotta get through this Kitsune rush, and they might have an opportunity, but Rocket gets a kill to bring things back for Secunda. This is a very even fight, Sis.
Well, Secunda has been doing a fantastic job at stalling out this point. Nyx has not captured this point once during this round, and as a result, Secunda now has 69% point cap. Nyx has to take this back if they want to stay in the fight for this round. They have some ultimates online, and with Whole Hog being used, it did clear a little bit of space, but not really any space near this point or near the most prominent engagement area. We see Chopper with this overclock here on the back line, pretty much just sitting on it waiting. And 2X goes ahead, drops their own, and into both sound barriers. Ocean, it is going to be a hectic fight. Chopper takes down their counterpart and follows up with another one. That's a hat trick for Chopper in the bag as Secunda goes ahead, closes out this fight. Overtime bar's been triggered, but it's all Nyx in the trickle feed. Secunda coming in strong, taking the second map cleanly and taking Oasis for themselves.
Great map from Secunda. I thoroughly enjoy watching them play. Especially, it's Fix again. I'm sorry, I'm obsessed, alright? We'll get rid of it, alright? We'll talk about something else for a bit. Let's talk about Fish Kick. Because they're on the screen right now, alright? Fish Kick had a really good start to the series, right? I mean, look at this. Extra boop onto Yamitra, gets the kill. And then this wasn't even like the other engagement that they won. This is the fight after. This was the second fight that they hardcore just won on their own. Yet, as a support duo, I'm seeing a bit more out of Secunda. Even though I think Fish Kick and Pimper should be really, really good. And I think they're a really good support duo. But I'm seeing more value come from the other supports because of when they're getting these plays. When they're setting up their teammates. We are seeing good plays come out of the support line of Nyx. They have showed their quality, but it's when they show their quality is the difference in this series.
Well, and we've talked about the consistency factor around how these players need to be performing, and it's the fact that we're talking about them suddenly showing up, right? And that's part of the problem, is that they're now showing up when they should have already been here the whole time. And that's what really sets apart some of these more consistent top dog teams. Now, we saw Secunda just perform pretty well during that second map, much better than the first one. And I worry about that kind of inconsistency, especially if they have their eyes on the grand finals. I think J-Bubs was a lot more in their flow state for the second round than that first one, but the first one felt really punishing and almost a little bit of a repeat from what we saw of Secunda versus Redbirds, where, the hook was getting forced out early, the response hook happened onto someone on Secunda, and then it all trickles down from there and falls apart.
We've just had a map pick come in here from Nyx. It's going to be King's Row. I like this map pick a lot, Sid, because what happened on King's Row last time Secunda played King's Row?
Stompy Stomp?
Yeah, pretty big stompy stomp. Like a big stompy stomp. Like imagine like the biggest high heels you've ever seen. Boom, right in the jaw,
So,
teeth shattered.
it's not
I
high
like this
heels.
map
You gotta imagine the like combat boot, steel toe kind of vibe.
They're not the
all
same
right?
thing. Are they not the same thing?
No, those are very different.
Are they?
Yeah,
Oh.
yes, combat boots and steel toe boots are actually, fun fact, any of you who are OSHA certified, if you take a steel-toed boot and you stick a hammer in it and you go wham, 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 and you just slap the hell out of it, the banana will be fine. Put that in a heel and it's not going to survive. So trust me, you want to be stomping your opponents in your steel-toed boots, friends.
Did you test that, or is that like a video you've watched? I think
Actually,
you
my
tested it.
teacher tested it for us all on the class. It was the best lesson ever.
Sounds like a good lesson. God, I wish my school experience was that good.
Lessons
that
in safety.
Oh, see, that's interesting. That's interesting. All right, okay. Moving on. King's Row. I'm excited for this map pick for the two reasons actually. The one reason being Secunda struggled on this map in the previous series, so bringing them back there is probably a good idea. The second being this is a very snowbally game mode and map in general, right?
Yeah.
So if you can get some momentum, get the tempo on your side, you're going to win most likely 1 or 2 fights in a row, right?
Mhm.
So we got some more emphasis on the main support players in particular, these
Right.
Lucios, right? So I'm looking at them. Eyes on Fish Kick in particular because they were very aggressive, they were sending up a lot of plays. If they can do that a little bit more consistently and a little bit more team fights, then this could be just a written map in for Nyx. Really want to see some stuff out of Fish Kick.
Well, we have Secunda attacking first, and it's interesting to see how they're going to really set the tempo, right? Here on King's Row with J Bubs on this Roadhog, we saw them get stuck at this initial choke point, right? Either of these teams could easily get routinely picked off. Now, this Pharah is a little more, you know what, Ocean? I'm not talking about the attack yet. I know better than to jinx myself.
You are a better caster than that. You are more experienced than that to know. You do not talk about the attacking team because they will do shenanigans. Chopper will stay on the Widowmaker for a bit, have a couple of shots, and then go back to the Sojourner.
Looking for a pick and not finding it. That's okay. I'm glad though that Nyx didn't even want to risk just showing that. It always feels bad when that's an early pick, as much fun as it is for the offense. That is a tough spot to be brawling in. Look at all the disruptor shots coming through, and 2S takes them down at the end of it. And honestly, so many resources were forced out in such quick succession just because of the one hook.
I mean, look how quickly Nyx pounced on Chopper being a little bit out of position and just using that slide. It was immediate. And you know what? Fish Kick, 3 assists in that fight. You could see it in the kill feed. That was a brilliant engagement from Cowman and Fish Kick. They look pretty sharp in this map already, do Nyx.
I want to give props over to Rocket, already at the 90% for Pulse Bomb and looking to keep pressure on this point. There's been a couple of exchanges. And a stick. Cowman falling low, doesn't fall down, has plenty of friends to help keep him alive in this fight. Now Nyx continues to hold their ground here near this hotel. Secunda has the spawn advantage, Ocean, so if they play it just slow enough, they could potentially take this point. Kitsune Rush is going to keep Nyx in this fight and honestly win them this fight, Ocean.
Good Kitsune Rush. They were under a lot of pressure. They needed some space back. They needed it quick back quick. Good Kitsune Rush from Paintbrush, and that'll win the fight. And this is an important team fight win. Why? Because now Secunda have to go for this choke again, right? And this is a difficult choke to go through, especially with the Sojourns in the game, right? You got that one shot, especially when you're playing against the Roadhog. You can charge that up extremely fast, so it's tough to get through this choke. Though it looks like Secunda have done that for now.
Well, and it's a little bit of deja vu that we saw from Secunda versus Redbirds once again. This was the choke point that they were not able to break through. Redbirds had a full defensive hold, and now Nyx is trying to do the exact same thing to Secunda once again. Secunda does not want a repeat of history. They've taken down Fish Cake early in this fight, and now Yamitra pops the sound barrier. That is the momentum shift they needed to take this first point here. The continuing pressure Nyx off, and with that, starting to cap it.
Should be points, I think there is a member sneaking around. There is. I saw a Fish Kick there. They're going to go for the recontest here, I think, Sid.
Secunda has to be aggressive if they're going to prevent
that. They don't. They're going to hold choke. It looked like they were going to sneak around the back of the hotel and try and get a touch on the point because Paintbrush had just got a kill on the Chopper. So there was an opening there, but Nyx not opting to take it and take guaranteed positional control of this archway. Probably the more sensible decision. Oh, my word.
Love you, bye. Sorry, Fix. Early pick there is going to be tough. Nyx already shutting down Secunda's attack. And, I mean, Chopper has overclock online. That could be the chance for them to punch through the defense.
They're trying to hold them at the doors. This is always a good idea on King's Row, because look how tight those spawn doors are. It's a big or really small choke. It's hard to get through. And this is why it's so effective, Sid.
Oh, that Death Blossom by Eiko is Exhibit A as to why Reapers infuriate me. And, well, a nice play rolling through. Nyx doing a good job at rotating those ultimates and not overcommitting too much in these, scrappier, close quarters fights. J-Bubs throws a blind hook, hoping for the best, doesn't find it, and as a result, did reveal himself to the enemy team. They chase him down, take him down as a result, and now Nyx continues to hold the defensive.
Good response. They get a little bit caught off guard by the entirety of Secunda flanking around. Kitsune Rush. Let's get positioning back. Let's get momentum back on our side. Good response from Paintbrush yet again. A really good decision. Nyx looking really comfortable on this map. They look like they're dictating when they're taking space, when they want to aggress. They know exactly what they're doing here. Whoa! Big headshot on the Rocket.
Best is absolutely on fire for that, and Rocket can't even play the game. Poor guy's playing Maze Runner for the last couple of lives, just trying to actually make it to the fight and dodge the obstacles so they can engage. A great hook once again. Fix is going down regardless, and well, now it's gonna be Nyx actually losing Eiko. Ocean, they have evened up the numbers, and now Secunda is going to try and push on forward, but pushing through this archway is almost impossible sometimes.
I mean, I think you're fine with this though if you're Nyx, right? You know,
Yeah.
Secunda use their Casino Rush, they use their Overclock. So, you know, longer next team fight, if there is a longer next team fight, right, and someone doesn't get their head taken off, you would feel that Nyx would have the advantage, right? Because you're going to have your Casino Rush first, both teams are going to have Sound Barrier, and you're going to have your own Overclock, right? So in a longer team fight, you'd imagine that this next fight would favor Nyx. However, at the start of this next team fight, there is actually a small window of opportunity here where Secunda have the Sound Barrier, and Nyx don't really have anything to respond with.
There's the sound barrier rolling through, and Whole Hog also
Fish
being
Kick dead!
pushed out from J-Bubs. That is Secunda taking the lead in the kill feed, one after another, taking down Nyx, and, well, honestly, throwing quite a handful, only a couple of ultimates at it in the process. Rocket manages to maintain the pulse bomb, and with that, Secunda has taken the fight in their own hands at the most critical time possible.
That window of opportunity was so small, Sid. Fish Kick had the ultimate as soon as they died. That's how small that window of opportunity was for Secunda, and they took it. Massive respect. Big Sound Barrier from Yamitra. That was so important.
Off the edge by Kalman. Nice knowing your friend as J-Bubs pops off. There is a lot of ults being thrown by Nyx as a response here. Well, just Kitsune, right? They lost their tank. They want to respond with Kitsune. I'm happy with that.
Fish Kick's a little stuck here, though. So is Eiko, right? I mean, how do they get back to their team? Eiko's in trouble.
Well, your Reaper you can Wraith out. That's why Reaper's annoying. Exhibit B. Nyx goes ahead, pops the sound barrier into the Secunda Kitsune here, trying to continue pushing back the offense. There's a few more pepper damage plays coming through. Rocket still has Pulse Bomb online. There's another hook coming through, and Eiko drops the Death Blossom in the heart of Secunda as a result. J-Bub's trying to keep the fight alive, but unfortunately, the Whole Hog was not enough, and Nyx holds defensive here.
We talk about Fish Kick again, I'm sorry. The Fish Kick fix, I'll flip a coin, I'll talk about one of them. Fish Kick, getting Eiko out of that fight was what won that next fight for Nyx. So impressive, and going into this next fight, both teams can opt for the Zarya. I think I like this from both teams. I think the decision from Carman to mirror is always a safe decision on the defense, especially when the two teams are so close.
Well, that's an early pick onto Chopper, devastating for Secunda, especially pushing into these last 30 seconds, Ocean. We know it is critical here, and if they want to win, they either need to full regroup or go for the man down.
I mean, what opening do you have if you're Secunda? I mean, Rocket's gonna Pulse Bomb.
Still,
This ends.
It's so difficult. You gotta get to the point and you gotta try and get something out of Rocket's Pulse Bomb. There it is!
There it is.
Fine.
held on to it for a while, and the results are in. Now there's still more kills and more pressure trying to be applied onto Nyx. Secunda has to roll this cart on forward. Overtime bar is triggered, and it is all on the line. So far, it's a trickle game here for Secunda. Nyx has this massive spawn advantage, and Kalman, maximum charge, grab online, is waiting to make sure no one else will get a chance to push. Scoop up here, don't run away, and that's gonna be Nyx really coming in strong here for this final defense. Ocean.
Chopper gets a kill, but I don't think it's gonna be enough. I think Nyx should have this in the bag. Eiko on the Widowmaker, so much space. Rocket can only stall for us as long as that, really. Fish can get some final blows in the kill feed. That's gonna be it. Point B for Secunda. I mean, it's better than what they did against Redbird, so it's improvement, right? But I still think Nyx were in control for the majority of that map.
I agree with you, and the time bank would also say the same as far as the first and second points. It wasn't until they had that breakthrough partway through the streets phase that they had that momentum shift, got it closer here to this third point, and really found their footing. Otherwise, I agree, Nyx was pretty much in control of the tempo of that fight. We'll see if it lasts, though, right? We're about to switch sides, and sometimes people's jams are more on the offense than the defense.
Could be. Could be. One thing I want to touch on, I haven't talked about this player much. Again, another support player. I'm sorry, right? Paintbrush, right? Really, really good Kitsune Rush at the end, right? There were, what, 3-4 for a little bit there? As Rocket's post bomb. So Nyx were behind. Use the Kitsune Rush just to get some time, get some space. And then it also helps Kaiman build up to that Graviton Surge. So a good Kitsune Rush from Paintbrush towards the end of that map, just to make things secure for Nyx. And yeah, again, this Widowmaker is just going to be for a couple of pokes out the window, then swap over to the Sojourn, and we should have a direct mirror matchup here between these two top teams.
1. Attackers incoming. Defend objective.
Gates are open. And let's see, of course, okay, N2S not finding any shots, like you said, moving back onto the Sojourn for the matchup. Rocket here, though. Oh, okay. Fix coming in hot, Ocean, already taking down N2S and stopping Nyx's first attack.
Nice hook as well. This first choke is actually difficult, right? In this composition,
Oh, yeah.
right? It is so hard because you don't really have like, I guess like a Reinhardt shield or a Zarya, you got a Roadhog, right? That's like your only protection. So when you walk for this choke, you can't really mitigate much of the spam.
Chopper hooked and deleted just as quickly. Cowman goes ahead and takes out the counterpart Sojourn. So now that we're evened up, Nyx pulls ahead with the kill onto Yamitra with less speed and less support on the table. Secunda slowly starting to fall one after another. J-Bub's getting real heavily pressured here into the hotel. And now the members of Nyx collapsing down around him, taking the fight. And well, Eiko getting cornered. I was surprised he went for the fade when a punch would have done the job. Definitely a tough call to make, but Nyx still here capturing the point.
Maybe they're going to go for contest, though. They have a pulse bomb. They might as well throw it out. It's not like a big risk to throw a pulse bomb. You'll build it quite fast, especially when you've got Rocket on Tracer. So
Yeah.
it was worth going for it. If you got 1 or 2, then you can maybe recontest that. You weren't losing too much from using that pulse bomb. Nyx, though, fairly quick capture on the point A, and point A is difficult. In this current meta game, it's difficult
Yeah.
because, again, we're seeing the Roadhog versus Roadhog, and that's a choke. And you're taking a lot of spam damage, right? So that can be quite difficult, and Nyx have already got one of the more difficult obstacles out of the way. Now it's the tricky corners of point B and next, and they've got Kitsune Rush ready to go to face those challenges, and a sound barrier much faster than Yamitra will have there.
This dance across the screen, and Cowman takes the advantage to the use so far. Nyx goes ahead, grabs the kills, and Ocean, that was a fast fight. I think I might have blinked and missed most of it.
I mean, both teams just Kitsune Rush, but only one team really got value out of it, and that was Nyx. And Nyx will look to get value out of their other support ultimate in the next one. Sound barrier online for Fishcake. Nothing online for Yamitra on the other side of things. So Fishcake's got a good window here to have an impactful sound barrier and potentially capture point B for Nyx.
Rocket moving around the side, consistently being a pressure and a nuisance like Tracers do. J-Bubs backs off a bit, but is still getting the support he needed. Doesn't matter though, the focus fire from Nyx is on point, taking down one player after another from Secunda. And honestly, this is a perfect breakthrough for them. They've got 3:30 on the clock, Ocean. It's gonna get even heftier when they cap, and they are feeling good rolling into this third point.
Rocket onto the Reaper, J-Bubs onto the Zarya. I imagine Kaiman is going to respond onto the Zarya shortly, once they realise. No, not just yet. Maybe after one more fight.
Yeah, or after a whole hog there. They've had some pretty good success cornering people and forcing out the Suzu early enough for that to be valuable. We do know that Nyx does not need to roll this cart all the way to the third point though. There's the golden box of victory just ahead, and it is easy to start getting momentum and steamroll if you can get a team wipe on your opponent. Fix throws that Kitsune out early in this fight, trying to instigate and prevent anyone from Nyx from engaging, but Ocean 413 is a long time on the clock. Nyx pushes in, but they've lost Cowman early. This could be a beautiful defensive opportunity here for Secunda, but Eiko continues to get aggressive in the face. Never mind, wants to bail out and regroup. Ocean.
When I said this map is snowbally, it's not just for the offense, it's the defense as well. It's so easy to wrap up fights consistently because of all these corners you have to navigate around. There's so many places to hold on this map, and that's why it's so snowballing. And now the defensive side of Secunda has a chance to maybe wrap up a couple of fights in a row.
Ouch. Nice job, Chopper. Sorry, Fish Cake. That was there was no way you could have been ready for him to pop around and take your head off that way. Nick still continuing to push on forward. A nice Suzu following up onto Aiko's Death Blossom. He was untouchable for a minute there. Secunda is getting desperate as the cart is approaching the golden box of victory. Sound Barrier keeps them in this fight a bit longer, and Rocket with
Rocket.
their own Death Blossom Suzu combo. A beautiful job there from Secunda to absolutely clutch out this defense.
And it's looking good for them, right? Because you're going to have a Graviton Surge for next fight. You're going to have Kitsune Rush as well. You know, you've got a decent ult rotation going. And Nick's had to round 2 pretty difficult corners here to still take this map. So there's opportunity here for Secunda, but again, it's still one fight. Nick's all they have to do is win one fight or maybe a fight and a half, technically,
one team
and it's
kill
done.
will give you the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's a difference, right? Win the fight and get the team kill. That's a fast wipe of them. Now, Sound Barrier committed here by Fish Cake, and this is exactly what Nyx wants. They're now up by 2. They're trying to push into the Kitsune Rush of Vix, but it doesn't matter. The damage is being done, carts rolling forward, and King's Row is going to Nyx.
A good map choice, a good display on how you should set the tempo of a map. Fish Cake in particular had a really, really impressive go at a Kaiman as well. So why it's so impressive what Fish Cake does is you see when Fish Cake does something, Kaiman is instantly getting value out of it. And that is so impressive to me, right? Because you're setting the tempo of the game and you're enabling your teammates by doing it. You're not just setting a tempo that you think is going to benefit you. We're actually seeing the benefits when Kaiman gets aggressive with Fish Cake, when Kaiman peels off with Fish Cake. We're seeing it in full flow.
Yeah, well, and on that last play of the game as well, we saw the Suzu roll in from Paintbrush as the Death Blossom is being initiated. We saw it happen back to back from both teams, and that is some really outstanding coordination coming through from your supports and your DPS on top of it, right? We talked about the support synergy, but with Kiriko's kit, I think it's really important that honestly, she's synergizing with as many of the offensive damage dealers as possible, right? Kitsune Rush is a huge enabler. And, you know, I gotta say, I'm really excited to see what they bring next. Folks, we're gonna go over to a quick break before we jump to our push map. So refill your water and we'll be back. And welcome back to the 2022 North American Open Division Losers Finals. We are in our third map, and Ocean, we're in a 1-1 series tie-up, so it's definitely heating up, and neither of these teams want to get knocked out. They both want to be heading to the grand finals to try and take down Redbird.
Let's start with the map pick, right? Route 66 from Secunda as the map pick. And the map they won against Redbirds, the solitary map they got against Redbirds, seems like a wise choice to go back there.
I do agree with you there. It was, not as strong of a performance as we had seen from Secunda, but, I'm really from Nyx, but I am looking forward to seeing what they bring to the table. Obviously, this is Secunda's pick because Nyx won the last matchup. So this should be where Secunda is more comfortable and more confident on those compositions. And well, we have seen some pretty outstanding support and DPS play come through as far as the synergy from the Kirikos and the Reapers in particular. I feel like going on about the Sojourns is kind of like old news. It's been the meta for forever, and we see it all the time. And really, it's been the supports and tanks that are coming through to help enable the team and set that tempo.
Oh, I would say that Koiman is at a slightly better series than J-Bubs. That's something I definitely would say. I think actually, we look at the support matchup that we've been checking in on. I think on map 1, Fix and Yamitra were better. We saw the map win come in through for Secunda. I think in map 2, Fishcake and Paintbrush were better. We saw the map play come through for Nyx. But one thing I will definitely say is I think in both maps, Koiman has been better than J-Bubs. And it's going to want to win this series definitively. We just see that matchup be a little less one-sided.
Yeah.
The way you were just saying about, we talk about Sojourns for a while now, right? I actually was going to ask it in the break, but you came back a bit late, right? If we can quickly shift focus just for this one map and talk about the Sojourn battle, because I think it's actually quite fascinating. And we can check back in on the support narrative at the end of this map. Are you okay with that? I know you don't like talking about DPS players, so are we good to talk about Sojourns for this map?
As long as we're not playing on the Reaper, it's fun,
Yeah, okay. Well, N2S and Chopper, that's who we're looking at for this map.
Well, they have been popping off, and we've seen both of them come through with the classic Sojourn clutch plays. This is another beautiful hook by Kalman once again. It seems like his ability to I don't want to say react, because he's definitely not the person. Well, he's instigating more, but he's waiting for that prime opportunity to throw the hook into the battle and take down their opponent every time. It's just beautiful patience coming through from Kalman on that front.
Good fight though for Nyx. Getting aggressive. Oh, Koiman, Chopper going down. Koiman getting some value and helping my narrative. Chopper going down and not getting value, helping my narrative. That's what I'm loving this series. It's brilliant. It's all right. Everything's peachy. Next team fight. Let's see how Secunda decide to come back into things. They're gonna trim the low ground on the right-hand side and then take this right-hand side high ground, ignoring Big Earls for the meantime.
Look at these Roadhogs hunting for a hook, and of course we see J-Bubs go ahead and hook N2S from the sight line of Kalman. He tries to counter hook, but at the end of the day, it's all resources being thrown into the members of Secunda. They're constantly trying to hold this point, and it doesn't look like with the kill on the Rocket, that could actually be an opportunity for Nyx here to take this point. Kalman absolutely unleashing the whole hog and pushing everyone away.
If I was Rocket, I'd be just a bit upset, but I just got one shot out of nowhere, randomly. That's just unfortunate. Koiman picking up the point for Nyx. That was a pretty good attack. Didn't really slow down for much. Very solid attack so far from Nyx. One thing that I want to check in on is the ultimates though. Chopper's going to have the overclock before NTS. Never mind, NTS is already up to it because of the Kitsune Rush.
We're jumping around here to a bunch of different players so far. Nyx still moving this cart. They've got everyone cleared out. Secunda has a handful of ultimates online, Ocean, but it's really going to be tough with Yamitra having sound barrier pretty much available for the next fight.
if you ever want to see how ridiculous Kitsune Rush was, go back and look at NTS's ult charge before that Kitsune Rush was popped. They were 30-40% behind Chopper, and all of a sudden, both teams will have overclock for this next team fight. And I said, we're going to look at the Sojourners for this team fight, so let's have a look at them. What have you got, Chopper? What have you got, NTS, in this next fight?
Cowman gets the first pick here on to Fix in the process. Fishcake's gonna join him, but the teams are evened up. N2S and Chopper both popped overclock, but no kills coming off the end off either of them. Actually, that's pretty surprising considering how impactful they have been. N2S on this high ground though dodges a beautiful hook. Nice anticipation.
There
and
you go.
Goes ahead, pops Chopper while they're falling, and Nyx looking like they're going to be able to hold this, well, to take the point.
Oh, doesn't get anything with Zephos, and Ymetra holding on. J-Bubs goes down. This is going to be so hard for Sakuna to get any value here, and I don't think they will get any value. Come on, I'm going to use that whole just to finish things up. Point B done. And I think I had some
Look at the
poor
time,
selections in there.
Ocean. Oh.
420?
Well, yeah, that, and there's just so much of it on the clock available for Nyx to push, dude. Oh.
Tank matchup wise, I should have talked about it more. J-Bubs has gone over to the Orisa here. Like, just straight up had enough of this Roadhog v Roadhog matchup. And Kaiman's going to go over the Zarya as a counter pick. I think that's a sensible choice. Point C, a little less open, a little bit more linear. You can get away with the Zarya here. I like this choice from Kaiman in response to J-Bubs going over to the Orisa.
Well, a classic Sojourn railgun kill to open up the kill feed for Nyx. Now all they have to do is get aggressive. Ocean, is this a different team than what we saw on the first map? Because Nyx is absolutely crushing it this round here on Route 66. They found their momentum, and it seems like they are consistently keeping Secunda off balance on the back foot.
It just seems like they're in control of the game, tempo-wise. They're winning all the Sojourn drills. Kaiman's getting a little bit more value on tank, right? It just seems they're in control right now. It seems, you know, at this moment, that there's not much of a way back into things for Secunda.
Yeah, Secunda throwing everything they have into this this defensive point here. It could be the last fight if Nyx wants to give it their all. N2S is trying to find the kills off this overclock, but it is tough. Everyone's zipping around. Secunda trying to hold this defensive point with Ymetra sound barrier, clutching it out for them in the end, giving them the sustainability to handle the aggression from Nyx, holding the defensive point just before this third checkpoint.
Team fight 1. At the end of point B for Secunda. J-Bubs gonna have a Graviton Surge for this next team fight. I think that's gonna be a critical ultimate, right? Because you get to go aggressive here, hold this corner, make things difficult for Nyx, and if you can win this next team fight, you can then build up to your support ultimates and you can get something going on this last point defense. It is Graviton Surge with later in the team point. You're dealing with Kitsune Rush, you're dealing with a Graviton Surge on the side of Nyx. So this Graviton Surge from J-Bubs is really important.
Grab early here coming through from J-Bubs, and it is on Secunda to go ahead and try and remove everyone there. There's only a couple of exchanges, and both teams are evened up number-wise. Chopper goes ahead, pops overclock, and Death Blossom in the back. Gonna continue putting more pressure onto Secunda. Secunda goes ahead and gets stuck in the grab, and Nyx continues to push on through. They want this checkpoint, but pushing into a Kitsune Rush is nasty business. This is a max charge. The Cowman here looking for the damage, trying to put the work in for his team. Fishcake can't save him with the sound barrier, and as a result, Nyx has to back up.
It's a really good team fight for Secunda. I was worried for them, you know, when that Graviton Surge, you know, they only scored 1 kill from it, Sid. I thought Secunda might be in trouble here, but their response, getting Thix up to that Kitsune Rush to match Paintbrushes was really, really critical, and it was a really good and important team fight for Secunda because not only did they win a tough exchange, but they got a minute or so off the clock, and now there's only a minute left for Nyx. I don't see many openings here. I mean, NCS, all eyes on you, maybe?
Chop. Low and dead. I can't believe. Okay, sorry, buddy. I thought you were gonna die a lot sooner than that. N2S with this overclock has already 2 in the pocket. There's the hat trick to follow up. And now, as a result, no one's there to touch the point. A little bit of stragglers coming through. Nyx continuing to move this payload. Secunda has the spawn advantage, but They touch at the last possible moment. Doesn't matter though. With 37 seconds left on the clock, point 3 is capped.
Score.
The spotlight definitely was on NTS there. That was a
to 3.
hefty
Switch
overclock to win out
Oh.
point C for Nyx, right?
Yeah.
And that's really important because I mean,
Initiating
where did Secunda get to against Redbirds? Well, it was at the end of point C, so even if they match what they did against Redbirds, right, which was a really good map from Secunda in their last series, then Nyx will win this map and go 2-1 up. So it's going to take another mighty effort from Secunda to match the full cap and go to extra innings.
I do want to point out, though, that Secunda did a great job at defending that last point and burning off a ton of time on the clock, Ocean. We were rolling into the third point with, over 4 minutes left. And as a result, they were, 37 seconds left for the end time is really outstanding coming through from Secunda.
Okay, just got a little bit of information. NTS, NOS has told me that it's not NTS, it's actually NOS. And we're ready
Okay.
to go.
Thank you, Nos. We are updating software currently and will address you as such.
It's a shame that we didn't get that info sooner and, we couldn't get their name right for, that pop-off play at the end of the round. Unfortunate. Unlucky, mate. Maybe next time.
1.
Well, yeah, we can do better next time. I also was wondering if they were the dinitrogen sulfide, the more complicated chemistry formal name. Secunda, though, gonna be opening up here initially, and Nos is gonna be, you don't want to leave Nos unchecked on this Sojourn. It's a good thing he had to reload. Chopper, you saw the tracking that he was doing on Chopper during that jump, Ocean. That made me catch my breath.
Oh! Victor's just headshot NTS. I don't know. Sorry, Nos, I don't know. Force a habit, right? Look, at least you got your name wrong this time, and something that wasn't as thrilling as your pop-off play. Hopefully, we'll see more popping off moments from Nos in the rest of this map, because we are highlighting the Sojourn battle for this Route 66, because there's a lot of high ground, there's a lot of space to make plays on Sojourn here, so we'll see what they can do. You're actually gonna have the high ground here if you're not. So let's see what you can do to open things up.
Nyx on the top of Big Earls, continuing to pepper down Secunda and pepper down onto Secunda as a result. With Chopper eliminated early in this fight, now it is all Nyx in the momentum, and Goodrich trying to fill this kill feed. They did lose Eiko though, and with a stick, Nos and Calvin deleted in the blink of an eye. Secunda has everything they need to roll this car on forward, Ocean.
Rocket gets that final kill. What, 3 final blows, 4 final blows in that fight for Rocket? I lost count, to be honest. Good opening with the pulse bomb. That's why I was talking about Rocket at the top of the broadcast when they were playing against Redbirds. I really wanted to see Rocket's Tracer in this meta game where you could play either the Reaper or the Tracer in that second DPS slot, right? Or even Genji, right? I was really interested to see how Rocket's Tracer fit into things, right? And it's been really quiet so far today, but those are little glimpses you see from Rocket, right? Is what he is capable of on that hero in this metagame.
Well, and the Tracers we've seen today in general have had a really hard time finding some of the value on pulse bombs because the Kirikos are on point with those Suzus that they're bringing to the table. There's another big aggressive push here, but it's going to be grabs all around. There's still a couple of exchanges, and, well, Sound Barrier is now cast by Yamitra. Secunda fully committing here on this fight to hold this defensive point, and, well, Nyx doesn't have very much cart progress as a result.
Oh, Paintbrush. Good teleport, alright. Oh, Paintbrush. Thanks.
Yeah, with overclock being popped here by Nos, it's lights out for most of you. But the overaggression actually comes back to bite him, Ocean. There is an opportunity here for Secunda to actually push this cart, and well, that could be deadly later on.
Overclock online for Chopper. And this next team fight is Nyx have to approach. It's so hard to walk into an overclock, right? It's like walking into cart spam, right? It's just difficult, okay? But should Nyx walk into this and get away scot-free, no kills from Chopper, they're going to have a Death Blossom. So once they get up close and personal, they've got an ultimate of their own to set up.
Eiko was so low right there. Good thing he saved. And with no
wow!
and Rocket Rocket just runs rampant
Okay.
on this Tracer. That is a beautiful highlight reel clip.
Hey,
Oh wow. Rocket's kind of good at that here, right? That was also a dream
Understatement.
balls bomb scenario, right? You know, having all of them so close together, picking up the 5k. That's a clip for Twitter, right?
Nick's going to be defending here. They won't have to defend for quite as long as Secunda had to moving into this third point, but it's definitely pretty close. There's plenty of room for them to still try and choke on forward, but Eiko has this Death Blossom up, and, well, we're looking to see what type of value it brings. Nos already down early in this fight, but a Death Blossom in the hallway in the middle of the Disruptor shot. Definitely not where you want to be rolling into. J-Bub's trying to put the pressure on. Kalman charged up, and, well, as a result, so deadly. You cannot... Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. Whew. Anyways, go ahead, Ocean.
Chopper, Rocket taking turns and setting up these fight wins for Secunda. 3 minutes 20. I mean, Nyx had around 4 minutes and 20 seconds around this point, right? They managed to cap all three, and Secunda are going to have to do something. Well, they have to do something similar if they want to win this map. They've got the pulse bomb again for Rocket, and it could be paired here with the Graviton Surge. That could be a strong win condition for Secunda in this next point.
It's a lot of pressure on those shoulders as well. Chopper already down early in this fight, was not ready to be lasered. There's a sound barrier being cast by Fishcake to sustain Nyx through the grab of J-Bubs. No one going down, couple ultimates used, and, well, now it's time for the next re-engagement, Ocean.
Yeah, so, I mean, use your Graviton Surge, trade sound barriers. I imagine the same thing will happen, but flipped. So Kaiman's going to use the Graviton Surge, and Meech will use the sound barrier. But then you've got the question of what happens with Dix's Kitsune Rush. It seems to be relatively unchecked.
Did you see the force out Rocket used to make Paintbrush give up the Suzu, use their movement ability, and then hunt them down? That is classic Tracer strategy, Tracer play 101 that you want to be seeing.
Both of the Sojourns have the overclock online for this next team fight. No other ultimates in the lobby.
This ends.
Chopper and Nos, it's you and the other Sojourn. Who's going to come up on top for this fight?
Nos not finding any kills off the back of their overclock. This is potentially last fight territory. Chopper's coming in hot with their own overclock. Manages to heal up with the health pack and finds the other kill onto Kalman. Nyx going ahead, bailing out of this fight because it is 37 seconds left on the clock. They need to regroup if they can have a chance to touch. Ocean is not happening. They are desperately trickling here on to this point. Can they get any momentum shift? Kalman's jumped over to... Oh, I thought he was going to have a chance on that Roadhog, but... Whew, looks like we're going to round 3.
Score.
Extra innings here on Route 66. Secunda's map pick. An all-important map pick in the losers finals here.
Initiate.
The series is close. It's 1-1. Teams are trading blows, fight for fight, player for player, map for map, potentially series for series.
Yeah,
There's so much on the line here, Sid.
right.
And
Well,
each player, you know, like the matchups here, there are so many matchups. The two Sojourns, Rocket versus Eiko, Kaiman versus J-Bubs. And you know what?
Ready for
It is probably, you know, you look at it, it's probably 5 for 5. Chopper, Nos, I can't separate them. Rocket, Eiko, both have their moments. Kaiman, you could argue, is at a better series than J-Bubs. Support line relatively even, right? It's such a close tie here. And I
Well,
can't
I also
separate these
think-
teams.
I think J-Bubs has a little bit of a different style on the Roadhog comparatively to what we saw from both Nyx and Redbirds. It looks like, to me, what I see is J-Bubs really going for that first initiating hook and really trying to start off with a pick or force out the Suzu, whereas it feels like their opponents are waiting for that first hook to be thrown and then flipping it around to start their initiation. And You know, it's been really tough to adapt when you're having Suzu forced out so early, repeatedly in every fight. There's only 47 seconds left on the clock for this push, and well, we're in round 3. Overtime will be swiftly approaching, and so far, Nyx looking to try and push this point. Secunda holding close to stall for time. A little bit of exchange back and forth, but a Suzu used early here in the back. So far, Nyx still trying to play, you know, carefully, but Ocean, there's plenty of room for them to engage.
Good kill from Chopper. That's going to open things right up. Echo tried to get aggressive, tried to start rolling. It just didn't quite happen. This should be it. This is a really good hold from Secunda.
Yeah, that pick onto Cowman, definitely critical, especially since they will no longer have any charge. 5 seconds left. There's the Reaper teleporting, trying for the touch. Overtime is triggered successfully. Fishcake there on the point takes out Rocket, and now it is all hands on deck to try and keep this fight alive. Nyx coming up big in the kill feed, and it is make or break it time. Who is clutch on this team? Who will continue staying on the point? Looks like they're gonna keep rolling forward, and Ocean, this could snowball.
Yeah, it could, definitely. There were a lot of clutches in that moment there for Nyx. The touch originally from Echo, the kill from Fishcake on the Rocket, and then Countman on the Doomfist, getting some value, ironically, and saving Nyx for now. How will Secunda handle this retake? Rocket, probably going to be their engagement tool, aiming to take this top right. High grinds.
Secunda only has to knock them off the point once. Nyx trying to stay alive here. Soundbearer hits everybody from Fishcake. Kitsune being thrown, both sides amplified and sped up. It's really going to be about who can continue to sustain. The sound barrier late from Yamitra might be what Secunda needs to stay in this fight and live through. And Nos decides not a chance. It's time to pop the overclock. Taking down Yamitra in the process, but it is still overtime bar. Nyx has a presence, and they're still making some exchanges back and forth. Cowman finally falling down thanks to Chopper's overclock, and now Secunda has a lot of opportunity to go ahead, clear this point for themselves, trying to hold just before this first point, Ocean.
Oh, it's so messy now. Both teams giving it their all. Echo's built up that Death Blossom. They need something from it.
Death Blossom DJ Bugs definitely trying to sustain through that. So many resources from both of them being thrown to stay alive on this point. If anyone steps off the cart, it's going to be a very, very fast overtime quick. Nyx cannot afford to lose anyone. And with the grab, J-Bubs sealing the deal for their team and holding just before the first checkpoint.
Special delivery.
I think you're okay with that if you're Nyx. I mean, you know, obviously, you have the opportunity to take to point B or take yourselves to point B, so you'd be disappointed with that, but you know, with what, a minute or so on the clock, that's a pretty good effort. And you know what, you definitely could have been held on that first corner, but you weren't, right? Some unbelievable stalling, unbelievable clutch play coming from Nyx to get that far. And you know what, here you're probably going to get 2 fights. You're going to get the fight at spawn and then the fight at the end of point down. So you know, you got relatively good chance. 1 minute 48 for Secunda. I still can't separate these two teams that much. Like, it is so close between the two.
And both of these teams are having like some pretty big hero play moments, right? We saw Rocket pop off on that second round, but this time, you know, not nearly as much of a driving force coming through for Secunda. So I gotta say, I'm really pleased that both of these teams are honestly showing such a strong display of gameplay in general, right? It's not really that big of a hot shot show on one side or one person or another. Other than maybe the Kirikos. We're a little Kiriko heavy today, folks. Sorry about that.
3, 2, 1.
Hey, I like Kiriko gameplay. And Kiriko's a character. Pretty cool character.
Stop the payload.
Of course, close hold coming through here from Nyx. Trying to stall out the point as much as possible. Rocket already moving to circle Nyx in this process. Rocket on that tracer being so annoying. Pushing Nos to fall very, very low there and looking to chase. Nos is taking out Chopper as a result, but honestly, Rocket sees that they're low, capitalizes on that front. Still a couple of kills coming through, and well, that's Nyx with a great defensive hold and 110 on the clock, Ocean.
The time bank is dwindling. That's a really, really good team fight. I mean, even I think you lost one number. If you're next, you're still got 4 here, but I mean, okay, they're gonna back up. I mean, you had the option to just die on cart and still get a second fight, but they're gonna opt to have a better chance at holding this second fight, get some better positioning on this corner. I think that's a wise decision for now.
Pulse Bomb is online as well. We've seen how deadly these have been, especially after we see the Suzu used here from Paintbrush. We know Rocket is literally waiting and biding his time to hunt for it. Eiko gets a nice top off while he's in his race form, and untouchable. Payload needs to be pushed farther if Secunda wants to stay in this fight. And well, with 20 seconds left, Ocean, it's a regroup time for them.
Rocket needs to make sure they get out. They do. Okay, so 16 seconds left. You should get a touch here if you're Secunda. The problem is, Kaiman's close to the Graviton Surge. Fishkick's got the Sound Barrier. You're nowhere near those ultimates. You're relying on Fix here, and that could Kitsune Rush. But Fix has come up clutch many times before.
Pulse Bomb is also a big opportunity for Secunda to go ahead and take this fight. So much pressure onto Kalman, and he's deleted as a result. Secunda goes ahead, leverages that Kitsune, and now they have taken away their momentum in the kill feed. Nyx is gonna have to come back and hurry.
Okay, even with overtime respawns, Nyx will get another fight. And they didn't invest much, but neither did Secunda. We got 4 ultimates for Secunda in this next team fight. We're probably gonna see 4 ultimates on both teams. I mean, what's your win condition? I mean, both teams have a Graviton Surge. You got Sound Barriers to interact with them. Got a Pulse Bomb to pair with it for Secunda. I'm looking at those grabs next team fight.
They're hunting and they're waiting. Kalman doesn't have as much charge as J-Bubs does, and well, there's the grab rolling through. Both of them being countered, and Yamitra's trying to keep Secunda in this fight. Nos in the backline is untouched here, but it's still Chopper posing a massive threat from Secunda. Nobody wants to leave this easily, and well, the Death Blossom seals the deal. Nyx is gonna take the second map and bring themselves to match point.
That's some unreal grit from Nyx. On a couple of occasions there, they were behind. There were no real right to win that map,
we should
right?
enjoy this for a moment.
Okay, yeah, let's sit for a second. Just appreciate that. You don't get to see Tracer play like that very often.
Well, and right before we saw the Suzu also used, right? Rocket was honestly, all of Secunda was very, very conscious of when Suzu had been used and it was not available to continue to aggress and attack onto the members of Nyx. Unfortunately, Nyx also has some of the same idea, and they were able to clutch it out a bit more at the end. And you know, that was a tough fight for both teams, Ocean. We went to 4 rounds, and both were pushing in overtime at the end of it. So I gotta say, I am really pleased that the level of competition these teams are bringing is serious, and it is here to show us who really wants to go to grand finals.
Oh yeah, there's no better way to test things. You know who is the rightful holder of that last grand final spot against Redbirds. I think if you win in a series like this where things are so close, especially, Nyx would definitely deserve it, 100%. That last map was so impressive. The clutch on their attack, their second attack on point A, they were on that first corner, and Eiko came out of nowhere to touch, and then you just got to kill out of nowhere. Fish kicked in on Rocket. That I can't process it still. It was just clutch play. Came out of nowhere. And they did the same thing on their second fight on their defense. Came in, 4 ults both teams. Kaiman gets the better Graviton Surge, and the rest of the fight is history.
Yeah. And Kalman was doing fantastic on that Zarya, maintaining charge, and it was only a few times that he wasn't able to escape with his life and retain that charge, but for the majority of it, he was able to get away and still remain that, a max charge Zarya, we all know exactly how big of a threat that is on the field, and I was really impressed to see that being sustained so consistently. We are moving over to New Queen Street, so, once again, going back over here to Toronto. This is going to be the pick of Secunda, since obviously Nyx won that last one. And honestly, Ocean, this is match point here for Nyx. If Secunda doesn't win this, they are going home.
They are indeed. It's so tough to call. And you know what? That last map is so important because that was arguably, in the other game that we saw Secunda today, their best map in Route 66. And that's gone. Nyx took it off the table with some incredibly clutch play. And now we're going to New Queen Street, and Secunda didn't look that great on this map, to be perfectly honest. So Nyx have got something to work with here, and they have got something to work with that can close out this series.
Yeah, Secunda definitely struggled a bit initially on this New Queen Street map when we saw them up against Redbird, but I also don't want to discount the fact that even though they were behind by, what was it, like 85 meters after the first few minutes, they were able to come back and push the point to make it more competitive and to put some pressure onto Redbirds. So they are adapting, and it seems like they are getting used to some of this more secondary reactionary play that we see come through from the Roadhogs. And I personally hope that Secunda takes this next map. We can go over to Control and maybe actually see the mecha base I prophesized originally.
You know what? The teams are trolling. If we do get a map 5 and Busan isn't picked, then that's just not right, to be honest. Right? Just be banned from OE forever. Right? If that's the case. But New Queen Street, let's focus on that, right? Let's go back to the sports, right? That's what we said we were going to talk about at the start of the series. And we had a little break there to talk about the Sojourn matchup, and both of them were very even, right? So
Yeah.
Chopper and Nos not really able to be separated. They're both very good players. We've seen that come through there on Route 66 multiple times. Came down to those two, and they were able to clutch up and pick up kills. Here, I want to go back to the supports because, again, very even in terms of value.
Mhm.
One thing, though, I will point out is Fishkick has been building sound barrier a lot faster than Yumitra. And both of them have been having really good sound barriers. So the fact that, Fishkick is probably having 1 or 2 extra sound barriers per map is starting to affect the series because of how close this matchup is. And I want to see Yumitra build up those sound barriers a little bit quicker in this map, because otherwise I can see the support duo falling behind, even though Yumitra and Vix have been quality throughout the entirety of this season.
I agree with you there. And I think it's some of those smaller nuances that we are seeing from the teams. Let me think of how to phrase this for a moment. The respect that both teams are giving each Sojourn as well from all across the board, I think has been a nice change of pace, right? We're not seeing as many people get picked from the railgun unless the Sojourns are having to aggressively slide. And I think that says a lot about the awareness of teams in general, right? We saw people getting picked off left and right during Grand Finals, Ocean. And I was wondering, why are we peeking? We know that they have a crack shot. But I love the respect that we're seeing both of these teams pay towards these deadly Sojourns. And well, we'll have to see how it unfolds here on New Queen Street.
A couple of different picks here. We're going to see J-Bubs onto the Winston, Kleiman onto the Zarya. A little bit more mobility with the Tracer and Winston if you're Secunda, and that could be helpful on a very open map such as New Queen Street. But if you can get on the corners and play around close quarters, Echo and Kleiman might have a little bit more benefit there.
Paintbrush absolutely clutching it out with the Suzu. It doesn't matter though, there's still a couple people going down from Nyx, and well, Secunda starting to run ahead with the bot.
Oh, that was clever from Kleiman to try and bait Secunda into that small room, because that's a very close quarter brawl that was going to happen in there, and that would have been really favourable for Echo and Kleiman. The plan didn't work though, but I like the idea from Kleiman now.
Yeah, well, and a good awareness coming through from Secunda. Hard pass on a small room with a Reaper and Zarya. Looks like Nos goes ahead, takes down J-Bubs early in the fight, and now Nyx has the man-up advantage. Robot not moving too far from center yet, Ocean, and the back and forth push has commenced.
So the question is here, J-Bubs, when you're playing Winston into such a probably common, you have to dive in, you have to commit. How do you get value? I mean, you could try and shut down Nos, that would be a good idea. You could try and zone out and get some cooldowns out of the support, so Rocket could pop off. That's another idea. but it is so difficult because you make one mistake and you're dead instantly.
Paintbrush already had Kitsune up almost 30% faster than Sekunda's Kitsune, and well, Nyx continuing to push on forward. They just cleared him out quite fast. They are going to have a few ultimates online, but now they're going to have to push into Kitsune from Fix, Ocean, and that is a tough order.
We're going to be in and around the checkpoint, and Fishkick has a sound barrier to respond to this Kitsune rush, but is it going to be enough?
A lot of bubbles from the Zarya and Winston rolling through. Nyx has been reinforced by Fishcake's sound barrier, and they're continuing to try and push. Chopper stops them in their tracks. Overclock taking out Nos, hunting for another, looking for the Lucio. Oh, and he skips out just as well. Chopper does find him in the end, and well, Secunda gonna go ahead, flip the possession of the robot, and start walking it back themselves.
Yeah. It was a good Kitsune rush, and you know, used overclock as well, but Nos used theirs, so we're pretty even on ultimates now for this next team fight. But we're not even on scoreboard. We're about 40 meters ahead for Nyx at the current moment, and Nyx should be able to set up a fight in a good position here to where, you know, they should probably get this fight and another in and around the checkpoint. So Nyx are in a good position here, and they've got some ultimates. So I like the Graviton Surge here. I mean, Ymitra's got the sound barrier, but it's gonna be so difficult because, you know, if Ymitra's in that grab, they're gonna die before they can use it.
They are definitely gonna die before they. Whoa! They didn't. They were able to pop the sound barrier, but the focus fire from Nyx was too intense. You had Eiko pop the Death Blossom on top of it all, and there was not enough sustain even with the sound barrier from Secunda.
I think they Suzu'd Ymitra with the sound barrier and the Graviton Surge, and that's what kept them alive through that. But
Nice.
I think Nyx are still going to win this fight because they've got such a brawly presence in and around the objective. When it's a 2v2 situation and you've got Kaiman and Eiko, you're in such a good position, right? Because if you have to play in and around the point to win the fight, and there's just a Reaper sitting on it, you may as well just run away because at close quarters, that Reaper's going to win.
Yeah, no one wants to get close corners with a Reaper. Kitsune being thrown, Chopper opening up the kill feed with the rail gun shot. Now Secunda continues pushing on forward, continuing to put the pressure onto Kalman. He's not escaping, and now it's going to be Secunda with the opportunity to keep pushing the bot, and they want to cap this second checkpoint, Ocean. They need to.
Oh, Fix and Paintbrush having a duel there. I like the idea though. Fix has the teleport, they can go for that duel, right? And if they get that kill, that's so beneficial. There wasn't actually that much risk there.
Not when you've got a bailout card like Kiriko does there for the teleport or the swift step. So far, Chopper pops that overclock, doesn't find any kills. It's more of an intimidation overclock. And, well, we've all seen those intimidation Genji blades. We know how they work. Secunda still backing off and, well, letting Nyx push into them. Oh! Where did that hook even come from? Rocket was definitely caught unaware there. Another attempt coming through, but the momentum has shifted in favor of Nyx. Ymitra's down, and Ocean, they're gonna take bot and push it back.
So we actually saw Chopper's overclock. What it did was it gave just enough space for Secunda to actually capture the objective and get there. No, they didn't. Did they? No, they didn't. Well, at least they took the lead from it, but unfortunately that lead isn't going to matter anymore. Nyx is going to take the checkpoint here. So, how did Nyx get more from this in this next team fight? You've got an overclock, you've got a sound barrier. I say you just go in with them. Go in with those ultimates and see what you can do. Try and take advantage of the advantage you currently have.
Well, you don't have any advantages when Chopper is on fire. Sound barrier has been forced out as Fishman continues to try and keep Nyx in this fight. They do have the spawn advantages. Cowman and Nos are going to be walking back, but it might be too little too late. A nice swift step away, regardless of the pulse bomb stick coming through from Rocket. Doesn't matter as Rocket's still on a tear, hunting down Eiko in the process. Fishcake follows suit, and now Secunda taking back the robot once again.
Important team fight. I mean, checkpoint though for Nyx, so they're going to get a team fight in and around where the bot starts. They're going to have a fight, and maybe just after that, so they're already on the high ground right now. So the fight's about to start.